All right.
retweet your stuff when you put it out there.
Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot. Okay, I'm posting it now. I have everything automatically ready, so there you go.
I know, isn't
what were
it
you
a
saying?
fun time?
We have a
Oh
terrible
yeah,
class
we
of,
deserve a better class of classical liberal. We don't have those anymore, and on one hand, it's kind of good that maybe some of the classical liberals have moved over to the right or whatnot. But
yeah.
I'm kind of
Only
happy.
a minute late, Fishy.
We're only a minute late, but I like how he's calling you fake and gay. That was fantastic. You know? We are tardy and we are Obama, which is fantastic for what we're talking about today. I don't know, like I don't normally watch videos or podcasts on like 2 times speed. I really think that that's bad for my ability to comprehend information. And I know some people that do it all the time, and I'm like, I don't think that's good for you. But I watched the local distance Dave talk at 2 times speed, and I'm about halfway through it, and we deserve a better class of classical liberal or shitlib talking points people.
Yeah.
At this point, the debate between Richard Spencer and Sargon of Akkad, like 7 years ago or whatever, is better than what we got last night. So the mighty have fallen. Classical liberalism bros aren't doing okay.
Yeah, it's like the last hour is almost irrelevant, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
And that wasn't even Benjamin Boyce's fault. It's just that it went back and forth, and then he brought out his Wokal just brought out his
guitar,
his cheap jazz mask. Not even a real jazz mask, dude. Not even because nowadays, because back in the day they were cheap as hell, but now. But I guess because of Cobain, they're really expensive. But it's one of them, I don't know why it was just a mess. Near the end, it shouldn't have been 4 hours. It should just been of 2 hours maximum.
But I'll say this: Dave has the patience of a saint. To do this, and again, all with people that aren't going to act in good faith. And the comment section is not kind to Mr. Distance either. But the Matt McManus debate, the Vaush debates, all the stuff that Dave has done, talking to these just whether they're liberals or just full blown anarcho, commie kids or whatever. He has the patience of a saint. I don't know why he does it, but yeah, I mean, what a time to be alive.
Everything I think of McManus, I think of that Dave should have debated McManus from Oz, the prison warden. He wasn't the warden. He was the supervisor of Emerald City. But can you imagine, especially the old black guys McManus. Anyways, this is episode 57 of the Archipelago. So
we're one episode closer to episode 69, where I have to torture myself to watch a television show that Gio wants us to watch.
Who is it that said they enjoyed the podcast? Was it a Sasan Habiri?
Yep.
Or was it yes, I interviewed Peter Ludlow, pioneer of internet writing. So after the show, please go and watch that. But pretty good content minded. And the full thing is on Patreon and Substack. Please subscribe to my Substack anyways. So you could if you choose to go to the paywalled version, it's only $5 a month. But anyways, this is episode 57. We have a lot of different things to cover. And, of course, follow Prudentialist on, all of his infos in the bottom, all of how you can support him on Subscribestar. I believe he's coming out with a review of Hour of Decision.
That'll be out.
Not a fan of it, but
I know he finds it to be a racist book, but no, I'm going to have a review of it out next week. I've got a patron book club as every month. We just reviewed Where the Right Went Wrong by Pat Buchanan, and it was an enjoyable read, although it was kind of cathartic because it was Pat was writing all this 20 years ago, and
what year did that come out?
2004.
Oh my God! Height of the Bush years, and he
was taking a dump on neocons, and he was just quoting why Max Boot's an idiot, but he was talking about how we've led this we're ruled by progressive judicial fiat. He has this great little section in chapter 9 about how everything just went to crap because we've turned the monster of Brown v. Board into this Leviathan where everything that was talked about in the Civil Rights Act doesn't do what it says. Hubert Humphrey said, if we ever had race quotas, I would eat the entire bill page by page. And now we have quotas, and we've got all this sort of stuff here. And he was talking about this long before Caldwell put out Age of Entitlement back in 2020, long before Hanania put out his thesis on his Substack. So it's just like, it's funny that everyone, like, it was funny to see like James Lindsay be like, this is the Caldwell argument. I'm like, really? It's the Pat Buchanan argument, and it's the John Birch Society argument. But, go off, King, who doesn't remember any part of American historiography on jurisprudence. But, the arc of history bends towards the vindication of Pat Buchanan. Yeah, I have an essay on him coming out soon, actually, calling him the American Cassandra. So stay on the line. I've been writing more. I haven't had a lot of videos out. This Saturday, I'll be streaming on sort of a Geopolitics news roundup because there's been another African coup. So I think Oliver and I's talking points from last week have aged pretty well. So yeah, I mean, it's been a very busy week, and both in the online space, but also in the real world as well. Might have a job in city government soon. So world, I might have to be careful about what I say on the internet.
Oh my God. Well, it's funny about the African coup. Maybe in another few years we'll have another Black Hawk Down movie. That'll be interesting. But yeah, there was a moment, I think, before, like, people were speculating. Certainly the guy that wrote the book Black Hawk Down. Oh, what's his name?
I'll look it up.
I remember watching the documentary that he made about the book as well, and how basically the movie was like a recruiting propaganda. Mark Bowden, yeah. How it was like a recruiting propaganda tool for the American government. But it was an equality film. I noticed there's been an uptick of like people quoting Black Hawk Down recently, including myself, especially the infamous scene with Jamie Lannister. He was playing Shugart and Gordon. No, he was Gordon. Sorry, Gordon. But no, it's funny because there was a moment where people thought that the geopolitical sort of tunnel vision the American government has was going to go towards the Horn of Africa. But as we know, I mean, the Middle East was too, strategically important to a lot of people, a lot of writers like Brzezinski back in the day, that I think like there's, and then what happens after in the 2000s, just China takes over. So do you think that's going to change though? I mean, I know you're going to talk about this with our good friend, Semiagog, but sorry, I'm just getting a text. Do you think we're going to go towards Africa? There's going to be another North American rush towards Africa? I don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, we talked about it last week, and
I was watching that.
Yeah. I mean, like there's been sort of a chain of coups in the Sahel region, which is a vital piece of territory, not just for energy extraction. You have both highways that are trying to move across the Sahel, but also along the eastern African coast, sort of this highway that goes all along up into Morocco. And so I do think that you're going to see more of that, especially because over the last 20 years, the U.S. AFRICOM has been quietly expanding. And there's something that we talked about in the stream was just, you look at what's happened in Niger and you see there's both French and American bases. There's been a lot of drone strikes in that area. You had the issue that happened in 2017 with Mali, where Trump kind of had his own sort of, I mean, they were even comparing it to Black Hawk Down, actually.
That's right. Yeah,
they were like, is this like Trump's Mogadishu moment or whatever? And now you have this most recent one in Gabon, which is south of the Sahel near the Central African Republic. And so, it's hard to like dive into this because immediately I saw people of the usual like third worldist type saying like this is a rejection of like imperialism or whatever, or like they had the old
Delta
picture
Force versus that
you had like the pictures of like the old presidents with Hillary Clinton from like 10 years ago or whatever, and it's just like, see what we mean, And so I think that you are going to see a renewed presence in sub-Saharan Africa in general and Central Africa especially. Just because the resources are there, and plus, like the three largest foreign direct investors in the region are China, Russia, and Japan. So, like, I'm not surprised that we're going to see a renewed American focus in there. And then plus the other issue, and this was pointed out by the former ambassador Alberto Fernandez, who works with the memory media people. He had a great article about this, about the great game in the Sahel. And he was talking about how, like, if you don't look at energy and if you don't look at foreign direct investment, the other thing that you need to seriously consider is that, like, that part of the world is a huge human trafficking hub. And, most of European Union states pay a lot of money to, like, Morocco and Algeria and they did Libya until things went to shit there, to sort of keep migrants out. And so human trafficking, he says, will probably expand depending on how disruptive the situation goes. But I mean, it's not just that one country. I mean, you've got issues.
It's the whole horn.
It's the whole horn, but it's also the whole chain of what we would consider the Sahel. Yeah. So I'd imagine that we're going to be there, or not we like specifically, but I mean the USG will.
Yeah, like that cross section, like you and Semigog were pointing out. Is it okay if I feel weird calling him Oliver?
I mean, you can call him Semigog. It's fine. He goes by either.
Yeah, but like you were saying, the whole chain, except I believe for Chad, have basically been courted by the Russians and the Chinese especially. When I say I mean Chinese, really. That's who's driving the Shanghai Economic Cooperation, of course. But no, it's funny. Are we going to have Jack? It's so, what's crazy? As an aside, I want to talk about Africa. Then we will get to the Trump stuff. But it's so, I was actually telling my GF this. I'm saying it was too absurd to tweet. I had a dream about Jackson Hinkle. I had a dream. You know what my dream was?
What was your dream about, Gio?
Because if you hear some noise, it's because they're redoing my road. Okay. So maybe it's because I was woken up by the machinery. They were tearing up the road. But I had a dream. I was on a construction site and I was going up. I struggled to get up this huge quarry truck. And in the back of the quarry truck is this huge slab cross-section of wood that we had to cut into planks. And it was me and Jackson Hinkle. And we had these planks. And one of those like seesaws that they have for forestry back in the day?
Yeah.
I forget the exact term of them, but like the dual saws, right? Yeah. So I go, Jackson, why are we cutting this wood to make planks for forms? Why are we cutting it with this dually saw? Why can't we just have like we take it to a mill or something? Then I this is my dream. I'm not joking. He said, because the trad Soviet Union, this is how they cut planks up. And I go, Jackson, that in the Soviet Union, they had sawmills, right? With industrial machinery, with cross saws. And he goes, no, this is the way they do it. I go, and that's how the dream ended. I'm like so flabbergasted. He said these exact words to me, Jackson Hinkle. This is how they did it in the trad Soviet Union. And I go, what are you talking about? They had industrial equipment in the Soviet Union. Oh my! I think it's because my mind, like that tweet where he got ratioed, and like the machinery, so it like put them together. So for what this is referring to, Jackson Hinkle said that people in the Soviet Union were masculine, God-fearing society, and people were like, that like the Soviet Union was an explicitly atheistic conglomerate, right? That they persecuted the Orthodox Church. Oh my God. Well, I mean, by the time you get to Brezhnev, it was like, it was less so. But
it's a world of LARPs.
You guys got to send me super chats for that dream. I'm not joking about this dream, but yeah, go ahead.
It came to me in a dream that these Soviet, nostalgia LARPs are just a bunch of, anyways, before I say anything too mean, it's just like, I find it funny that like I think that everyone who's been thoroughly deracinated or psyoped, and there's a very fine line of difference between those two, between deracinated and being psyoped. But like, you take someone like him, who I'm sorry, I don't care what the actual take is. I think he's just an op, or he's a part of some front of things that are paying him money to talk about these things.
As much as I'm sympathetic to the current geopolitical situation in Eastern Europe, I think it's not hard to believe that there's probably something going on there. Like, come on, let's be real. Let's put a rationalist cap on for a moment, Prude. I mean, there's got to
Let's put on our little cardboard serious hats, as the Chudjak would say. Like it just seems to me
serious hat. Yeah.
I'm beginning to think that there's this pattern here where either you're just like having an ordeal of civility ethnic moment, like Infrahaz or whatever, or you're this guy out of nowhere that calls himself an American patriot, but he's just like vatnicking so hard that if you even mention the sawmills of the Soviet Union, he nuts himself. So to me, it seems like he's part of something that's going on a little shady. I don't know, but my gut tells me this kind of glows in some form or fashion. But like, so there's that fine line between being like deracinated and psyoped, and I just find it weird that like, really, this is what we're nostalgic for. And I mean, like, I would understand, I kind of get the whole wheat fields meme or the cottage girl type deal. I even understand wanting to go back to 2006 for goth chicks, for Christ's sake. But like, really, the Soviet Union, a place where like, you had large female individuals that would be, harassing you at the Soviet car plant or manufacturing. And if your faith, you would be baptized privately out of fear that some like commissar of a certain ethnic descent would burn your priest alive and boil him in excrement. Yeah, something tells me that was not the idyllic place to live. But it's okay. That wasn't real communism. So I guess that's okay. But it also shows to me that it is easy for a lot of people, and this happens especially with, say, religion. We see this a lot on Twitter and other social media where people more LARP their religion than they actually go and believe it or do anything with it. And so these things just become these kind of kitschified fandoms in which people seek escapism. And like, I get it. In a vast digital world, like, you want something that already has the extensive lore or a canon. And I mean, like, religion's a great place for that because people want the lore or the canons of a church or a tradition. And the same can be said with a country. Like, it's the favorite thing. It's like, you're not some like, French crusader. You're like a bunch of Baptists from like, Nebraska or whatever. And I mean, like, those kind of memes, I think, are sort of an applicable truth in a lot of respect. But like, I think it just illustrates that like Americans especially, but I mean, Westerners in general, have been so deracinated from their cultural and ethnic roots that anything that offers a salve that makes you feel excited a little bit, that dopamine hit of like, oh, you belong here, that authenticity thing, it only destroys whatever culture you had left. And it leads to the most inane, innocuous debates over everything. Although, by God, I certainly appreciate our friend Carl talking about Mexican food today. So, I mean, that's how deracinated we get. We start arguing about Mexican food.
Versus French food. I never had genuine French food, but I'm open to the experience. But
it's not that bad. I like French food. French food is fine. I don't like slugs or oysters, but I mean, frog. There are other dishes that they do. They have really a good palette of soups. Their breads are fantastic. But it's like, really, like, this is what we're gonna crap on. And then of course Matt Iglesias has to open his fat egg-headed mouth talking about how America's a polyglot country and that we should enjoy our bulgogi tacos and whatever.
What is a bulgogi taco? What is
I have no idea. But I'm of the opinion that we can go cook it ourselves. But at the end of the day, he's a dishonest actor. Like, it was, he was talking about like Biden visiting Maui or whatever during the fires, and it's like, this is the same guy that was complaining that Senator Ted Cruz went to Cancun a few years back during that big winter freeze. And I looked up all of his old tweets, and lo and behold, he deleted them all. So this fat suit that thinks that America should have 1 billion Americans for the sake of combating the Chinese.
I'm a fat dude, but you're
not Matt Iglesias. Your timeline is not coal 24/7. He is an Appalachian coal mine circa like 1930. Whereas, you can call yourself whatever, but like, one of you is honest and the other one deserves.
There's so much coal. That Maggie Thatcher wants to shut down the coal mine. Okay, that's how much. Matt Iglesias, for some reason, he doesn't. Even though he's like, his ideas are evil and he's probably evil, for some reason, like, his tweeting style doesn't promote the rage in me that like other libs do. But he's kind of funny to me. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's weird that way. It's not funny, like Rachel Gilmore tweeting.
He's funny in a way that I think Richard Hanania wishes he could be.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Whereas Hanania does tweet things that, like, they piss me off because it's like, I know it's a troll, but it's like not a very good troll. I don't know.
Yeah. Although he did have I have him muted, and I have his name muted for the timeline, and I have him blocked because I just don't want to deal with him. And it's just like, and then someone will take a screenshot and they're like, hey, you should talk about this. And I'm like, I really wish you didn't do this to me. The psychological info hazard that you've now brought upon my timeline. But I did enjoy the I did enjoy his little tweet from, I think it was yesterday, right? That he said none of the American founders were circumcised.
Oh God, that's where I did the Black Hawk Down reference, like Gordon and Sugar, like Prudentialist volunteering to set up a perimeter on the tweet.
Because I'm sorry, that was a good tweet. Yeah, that happened yesterday. I'm sorry, that's a great tweet. A little spicy, but I'm a fan of that,
I can't hold it between my thumb like that. My old man does that. I can't, I guess. But yeah, that tweet was pretty spicy. But he gets to do it, I guess. He gets to do it. I mean, people forget that Hanani is Palestinian. And he looks white, but like...
When you're 11, they let you do it. I don't know.
Is he Palestinian?
I'm pretty sure.
Man, that's weird. So we have our first super chat. Thank you, Michael Paul. But yes, need those super chats. I know I keep highlighting some good comments, but no, I found it funny though. The woke all, well, we'll get to the debate, but like about the Horn of Africa. I mean, I remember back in the day, I remember reading the book by Bowden after watching the documentary about Black Hawk Down. And even when he was writing this in the early 2000s, he's like, well, the racial element of America makes explicit intervention in Africa kind of difficult. But I wonder if, like, I know Fishy Frenzy said they just have to frame them as homophobes, like in Uganda. But I wonder if that situation's kind of true. Like, what is your perspective on this, Prude? Do you think that, like, the USM, like, going after an African nation, could that even be tenable, like, optically? I don't know. Like, that's, I mean, you know, it's kind of stupid. Like, when I ask this question, Prude,
yeah,
I feel stupid in a way to think that optics can get in the way of a military intervention. But as we know, with like most conflicts from, I would say, well, the real nexus was Vietnam, but I mean, especially nowadays with the war in Ukraine, the fact that like optics can drive whole military operations into certain directions, that's fast. That's like, to me, like, that's, you know, that's like really like Desert of the Real, what Baudrillard and Verlet were writing about. But it's like, it is kind of tragic in a way. But do you think that the American government, if they wanted to stymie the Chinese, the BRIC influence in Africa, like, you know, optics be damned, that they would probably intervene? Or maybe that's impossible now?
It raises a really interesting question, because, like, you know, the first people that were really reporting on this, like, growth of America's military interventionism in Africa was like the Intercept Glenn Greenwald people back when Obama was in office. And I mean, those resources are still really good
Amy
to use.
Goodman.
Yeah, and a few others. And it was just like, they have to keep it under wraps, because as Vietnam showed, if you try, the racial element does make things, I think, awkward. And I don't know how many Americans are willing to like go out and fight, you know, terrorism in Africa. Like, it's the same. Like, I know it's terrible to compare like news events to video games. It's like, I think it's like Resident Evil 4, right? Where like the campaign took place in Africa, and people were like, well, this is kind of racist. There's some like racial colonial undertones to this. And like your female side character has like these tribalist like costumes or whatever that you can put on her for DLC. And it's just like,
I'd imagine Call of Duty, by the way.
You'd saying that like turn up to 11 if it were like America's going to go to war in Africa. Like, you have to do it in a more subtle way, like they've been doing. So it's just like, I don't know if you could ever publicly say like, if like we had another moment where like we're going to go invade Iraq and Afghanistan, but instead of Iraq and Afghanistan, we're going to invade like Mali and like Niger, right? Like, I don't think you'd get the same enthusiasm in the same way, because it's just like, so some good old boys, you know, some corn-fed middle of heartland America boys that, you know, joined the army because their dad was in the army. They're probably going to get called racist when they get, you know, back home from their tour. So I don't think that optics do matter in a democratic war. I mean, it's a lot easier to sell. And then this is something that George Kennan talked about in 1950, you know, like America's foreign policy is not great, but we sell the American people a warm image to themselves, so they can feel good about whatever they're doing, whether it's making the world safe from democracy or we fight them over there to, you know, make sure we don't fight them here. These old sort of Cold War mantras that have been around for forever, and even prior to the Cold War. And so it's very weird to see it play out, Because like Ukraine is easier to do it, like it's easier to tell a country that is preconditioned in the Cold War aesthetic to be like, we're going to go fight Ivan and we're going to help the Ukrainians fight Ivan. And, we're going to make sure that they pay for it because that's bad. And, warlike, and making comparisons to Hitler and all that jazz. Like that's easy. It's a little harder, I think, to compare some like African junta that probably received taxpayer dollars to get trained in security, to compare them to, say, like an Austrian painter or any other kind of fascist dictatorship. Because, I mean, like, remember in the early aughts, they tried that with the whole Islamo-fascism thing that Barnes lawyer tried to bring back up again. And, like, it's harder to do that, I think, if you're fighting a bunch of Africans and you're historically an Anglo nation and, like, this country is occupied by a mind virus of, like, progressive killiasm. So I don't think you could do it. I just don't think you could.
Well, I think the way they could do it would be that basically this African dictator they wanted to get out of the way, they would have to sell it as like he is a puppet of Wagner and the Russians. That's
what they're trying. I mean, that's what whole anti-Blinken's thing was about inside of Chad, inside of Sudan, and inside of Niger. But even then, I don't know how well you can do that when like the Russian Ministry of Defense is like effectively like PMC Wagner doesn't exist and Prigozhin's dead. I think your kind of PMC Russian Blackwater boogeyman doesn't work rhetorically as well as it probably would have if
Prigozhin is also alive. Dead.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just like
the literal Austrian painter fan of Wagner is dead too. So, well, allegedly, but he probably is.
Yeah, so it's just like, I really I don't think that works out in that rhetorical sense. I mean, maybe you could get the homosexuality thing to work. I mean, even the Trump administration was all about having Richard Grenell and the push for globalized decriminality of homosexuality. Like, listen, it started in England in 1967, and we're going to make sure it happens all around the globe. And then you saw that CNN tweet about those two people being punished under Uganda's like anti-homosexuality law or whatever. And it's like
you can't list the crimes on YouTube. I mean, you can't.
But I mean, like the community notes were like, oh, by the way, this is what they actually did, and it's horrible. That is not worth repeating. But I mean, to me, it's just like, the optics game will be really hard. And it's like, no way are you going to get black enlisted men to go, like it'd be a Vietnam situation. Like you're a white officer or staff sergeant's going to get fracked.
No, but that's what I mean. And that's a reality of it. I mean, to answer Javier's question about Black Hawk Down, I mean, the USM, like they really cocked that thing up hardcore. Like, first of all, there were other routes to the venue where they could have had the diplomats. They were going to approve sending an AC-130, which is like, pretty good for small tactical special operations insurgencies and so forth. If they would have had the AC-130, that would have been different. They didn't inform the joint coalition of Pakistanis and other African nations that were right on the border that could have helped them evac. They didn't inform them till the next morning that, oh, by the way, there's this major mission where a bunch of U.S. Marines and Delta Force are being like basically swarmed upon by the whole city. So there were so many different things. And first of all, they were going to broker peace, but of course the peace meeting a week before was being, I believe a month before, was they lobbed TOW missiles into the peace accords, into the building. So that kind of never worked out. So U.S. AFRICOM is notorious for a bunch of fumbles. And then, of course, after Rwanda, the thought of intervention into Africa was made.
Well, that's why they've kept it private and and hidden.
Yeah,
they're not going to talk about it. Although I have to chuckle because I saw that on the timeline earlier today. Helen Andrews retweeted her Anthropology thread about South Africa, and I'm just going to read it for the audience. I think you'll enjoy it. In 1956, anthropologist Philip Mayer asked traditional Zoha interviewees what they liked and disliked about white people. Some interesting answers. The white doctors kill you and remove something from inside your body and then bring you back to life. I do admire this, end quote.
Good old Helen Andrews. They let her do it.
I don't know who said it earlier, but I think it was in Pat Casey's chat that we're in, where it was just all like, that weird, awkward moment on C-SPAN with her ex-boyfriend or whatever.
Oh, that was hilarious. I think I mentioned that.
Yeah, and it was just like, she's got that Teutonic autism about her. And I'm like, well, her maiden name is like Needlemeyer or whatever. So
she wanted a man to dominate her. That's what she said. Like, literally.
Because like she did that that big like I don't think it was like the Cato Institute or whatever debate on immigration a few years back, and she was like, these people can't be integrated, you can't have them, like this has to stop. And she's doing the numbers game.
Just stay away.
Just get away.
Way before Scott Adams.
Just get the hell away from him.
Oh my god. Listen, nerd girls, like listen, boys, I know from experience, sometimes nerd girls, when they go off on you, they could really they could go, they're like a tow missile when they go off on you. So, they have the IQ points. But that was pretty funny. Helen Andrews. But so I mean, who knows what's gonna happen in the Horn of Africa? I mean, I think that hopefully nothing happening, but it is funny how for multiple decades the American government is just so like the ineptitude towards what's the situation in Africa as a whole with the Chinese is like so incredible. But now it's like all of a sudden we have to care about it, because now it's like I guess like the whole myth of China Joe Biden is sort of gone by the wayside. The Chinese hate him, but I mean, God. Well, but this recent coup, I mean, what was the whole kerfuffle there, Prude? Where was it in?
It's
Gabon?
in the country of Gabon, which
yeah,
is in Central Africa, borders Equatorial Guinea and the Central African Republic. So you've got I think General Bryce Ngema is the guy that leads the coup, and I'm going to read this headline, and this is me reading it word for word. Gabon military coup. What we know about the overthrow of the Bongo dynasty.
Whoa!
God, I love the news. I love that I have a niche geopolitical focus on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
you get to learn so much more about culture, history, and people. Fantastic.
Amazing. But and who is the Western backed one, and who is the brick backed one?
Well, I mean, it still shows to what we're going to go from, but from what it says is that we've got the 8th coup in Francophone Africa in 3 years. So I mean, they imprisoned Ali Bongo, which I imagine is the guy that's going to be in there, and he's been a part of the ruling family that's controlled the country for 56 years. Has a lot of oil. So we'll see. He's the Western partner, as they say, but this is what comes out of the world of African geopolitics.
Yeah. The Bongo.
It killed me. I'm sorry.
So someone's going to mention the Bongo book club in the chat, which that's ancient history right there. That's ancient alt-right history. But no, I'm just Bartholomew the Red, our good friend, good patron, has sent an absolutely horrendous super chat that, I mean, you're going to love, Prude. You're going to love it.
I'm sure.
I guess John Carter is getting slack. He's slacking up this week. But anyways. So yeah, the Africa situation, we'll see what happens. What was the Libya mission called? Wasn't it called like Operation Freedom Libya or something like that?
Let's find out. 2011 Libya operation number. I just want to know what the thing was called.
God, I love American mission names. Like what was the Vietnam one called? Storm Serpent or something?
Yeah, come on. I want the name. Operation Names. It's got a name for it. Operation Unified Protector.
There you go.
United States also. The United States' title for it was Operation Odyssey Dawn.
Whoa, that's a good one. Odyssey Dawn, Operation Enduring Freedom. Like Operation Desert Storm.
Well, it used to be. It was originally going to be named for Iraq, Operation Iraqi Liberation, and
that was too.
Well, no one wants to have something called oil when you're trying to invade the Middle East. Their advisors were like, they were like, Georgie boy, you need a different name.
Cool it. Yeah.
You need a different name.
Oh, it's funny though. I mean, people have debated the oil thesis though. That's sort of like a Chapo, like Amy Goodman Democracy Now! Talking point about like blood for oil. But I mean, I think there was a number of different reasons, not just the oil.
But we never got oil. That was the issue.
Yeah, we never got oil. So
we never did it. We never did it. And even Trump was like, why didn't we take their oil? Why didn't we make money out of this?
Yeah, Operation
Why didn't we engage in the old American tradition of invading a country for resources? Why didn't we do the good old-fashioned filibuster?
Why couldn't they learn from the British Empire? Come on. Is it that hard? Is there no come on. I know historians are in the tank right now, but is there no military historian at West Point to be like, listen, guys,
this globalism shit doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, come on. Operation Warp Sneed. Operation Sneed Chuck, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I love the mission names. Storm Serpent, Enduring Freedom, Desert Storm. What was the the Afghanistan one was Enduring Freedom. What was the Iraq War one? Was it Iraqi Freedom or
Operation Iraqi Freedom? I don't know if that was the initial
one. That's kind of blasé, but
Was it the initial one that we did? Yeah, it was 2003. Yeah.
It's funny because someone came up with the question again about what would happen if Al Gore won instead of Bush, if the Iraq War never happened.
We'd still intervene. I don't know if it would be Iraq and Afghanistan, but I mean, we would probably respond militarily.
Yeah, probably.
And I think that our culture war issues would have sped up a bit. Because prior to 9/11, what were your big domestic political talking points?
Yeah, I remember reading an article about this. What were the big news stories? It was kind of like a quiet summer before, but what were the big news points before 9/11?
The biggest one domestically, I'm pretty sure, if I can remember correctly from my reading similar articles about what was the political scene, a lot of it was a lot about stem cell research and the pro-lifers getting
Dolly the Lamb.
Yeah, Dolly the Lamb in 1997, but the whole stem cell and fetal stem cells, the way to do it, and it kind of got the pro-lifers on edge.
Jerry Shivo.
You had the issues. I think No Child Left Behind came much later, but I mean, Bush was really big about having a reading initiative. He was kind of continuing that sort of Clinton sort of education policy. I mean,
that's why he was reading to school children that morning.
Yeah, and I mean, plus you had Medicare or Medicaid Part D. Or Medicare Part D, but that would come later. But I mean, it was rather, from what people were saying, it was a quiet summer. I mean, this was a time when, the great television shows of the 1990s were still into the early 2000s, Frasier, Frens, and so on, nearing their end. And it's just it was the West Wing was still on the air.
Yeah.
It was a different world that no one can relate to. I'm not nostalgic for it. I don't wax poetically over it, but it was just, I think that if Gore got in, and the issue over environmentalism probably would have came up sooner.
Mm-hmm.
We would have definitely intervened regardless, whether it be in Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure we would have done the same. There was no way that Al Gore was going to politically look weak and not respond in military force. I don't think he would have been remembered as the no one, the I can hear you, the whole world hears you, and the people that knock these buildings down. I don't think Gore would have had that. He would have had a similar moment, but probably not.
John Bodas is right. The one medical procedure was also still pretty big at this time.
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, that was a big issue for all time until the Supreme Court recently just said we're done with it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and of course Bush didn't do anything about it either.
No.
The pro.
And the other thing was Bush was going to potentially try and force an amendment to the Constitution to ensure that marriage was between a man and a woman. That was.
Oh yeah, that was convenient.
I don't know where I was talking about this. Maybe it was it was on Patron Book Club, but a while back, this bookstore in a town over next to me was closing down for good. And on the last day, they were everything's free. Take as much as you can of our inventory and go. And I felt like a goth, sacking Rome and stealing all these scrolls that I can't read or understand. And I felt like it was thievery, but at the same time, I felt like I'm preserving something. And their politics section was just stuck circa 2002. And
oh my God.
It was really cool because I was this is what the people were writing and talking about 20 years ago. And so I bought all of Pat Buchanan's books, or I got them for free. So that's why we reviewed Where the Right Went Wrong. Death of a Superpower and
Yeah.
Suicide of the West and things, or The Death of the West. And but one of them was Maureen Dowd, and I think she still writes for the New York Times. So it was called Bush World. And I was like, I gotta read this. And it was just this like liberal, like, you know, people pulling their hair out and screaming that the sky is falling because George W. Bush, the governor of Texas, had been elected to the White House. And like, here's all the terrible things he's going to do to like Medicare and like black people. And it's just like, on one hand, nothing's changed. But on the other hand, everything's changed. It's just gotten more into epic proportions. And so, you know, Maureen's just complaining about like, and it was so strange to see, like, it was a level of like sanity that we just don't have in the country anymore, where it was just like, these people are talking about like the deficit and federal spending and, you know, budget surpluses, you know, that's that weird early 2000s, you know, Clinton era, you know, budget surplus that people were talking about. And it was the same thing in that Pat Buchanan book where he's complaining about how like Bush has like wasted the budget surplus and we're running deficits, and Dick Cheney says deficits don't matter. And it was like, I know this stuff is important, but it's a little hard for me to think that it's important in the wake of like, you know, antagonizing a nuclear power, that we've got to, we know we don't arrest crime. My police, you know, federally and locally, like, worship black people. Like, it's just really hard to care about deficits right now. You know, that's why it partially made the GOP debate. And this was a point that was made on Night Owls, was like, yeah, this was like going back to like cut taxes and cut the deficit, you know, Republican talking point. And I'm like, I'm kind of glad we're past that. And we're kind of just embracing full-blown culture conflict, because that stuff matters a little more to me right now.
It's almost like that book by Maureen Dowd. That was like the way that libs were going, the libtards they were going to go. It was like a very time capsule of like everything we could think about as like relevant today was basically pressure cooked in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s. And you know, like like Matthew, like, yeah, he points to the Trent Reznor album, Fishy Frenzy, like Al Gore. What did he say here? Al Gore wouldn't make the same mistake reading the map. He'll actually invade Saudi Arabia. But hey, if you really want to talk about the 9/11,
imagine we'd get 5 more 9/11s if we invaded Saudi Arabia.
Oh God, yeah, we would get 5 more. Yeah, maybe they would actually hit the White House that time. You know, if that would happen. But no, it's funny now. But now, like, people assume that because of the politics of Iraq and Afghanistan, that Saudi Arabia was going to be our best friend, well, our second best friend in the region forever. Because Mike Pence today reminded us about who our real best friend is.
Oh, absolutely. We can't let those awful subcontinentals stop us from sending billions of dollars to the nation of Israel in the Middle East.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a winning talking point with current millennials that voted for Trump.
Yeah, he said 20 hours ago, quote, Vivek Ramaswamy announcing that he will not use military force to defend Israel against Iran demonstrates a profound lack of understanding. Without defending American interests, most cherished ally, weakness arouses evil. Vivek's hesitation to send a clear message of support to Israel will only embolden the radical Islamic mullahs in Tehran as they continue to target innocent American civilians and threaten to annihilate Israel. Peace comes through strength. America stands with Israel.
Oh my God. Doesn't Israel have basic? Yeah, billions must be sent. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We only send them like 2.5% of our like defense budget. Too much.
Doesn't Israel basically have, I mean, apart from certain places in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and I believe the Republican Guard Air Force, does not Israel enjoy basically total air dominance over the Middle East in terms of their capacity, like the IDF?
I'm pretty sure they do, and I mean they have
what's
technology.
What's the name for the Israeli, the Air Force? Don't they have a name for it?
I don't. I'm gonna go look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have like total air dominance in terms of their capacity because they're all getting like off-market American fighter jets.
Well, that and they have IAF is their thing.
IAF. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like they don't have more advanced. I mean, they have a lot of American stuff that we give
in the middle of the desert that they deny exists, which is
you mean their nuclear arsenal?
Yeah, no, but they have other advanced, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like they take a lot of the stuff that we give them.
Yeah,
and then this was something actually as well that Pat Buchanan's book was talking about. And again, as low as $2 a month, you can get access to it on Subscribestar, YouTube channel memberships, and Substack. But like he was talking about China, the rise of China in 2004. He's like, there are 3 countries that accelerate the rise of China as a political rival to the United States. And he says it's America, Russia, and Israel. And he's listing out the tech that from America, the Israelis then sell to the Chinese. Oh, and so it's just like, here we are giving them
they do that? What happened to her? I thought they were our greatest friend.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
If only.
No, but you know what's funny is that the big worry back in the 80s and 90s up until the Gulf War was the dreaded Soviet Scud missile. Because the Scuds, the Soviets had in mind, and I guess because here's the thing, it goes into the thing that what people think contra Jackson Hinkle, that actually the Soviet Union was kind of always third worldist, right? They had the third world regimes that they were propping up in mind, because the Scud missile, you could put different ordnance on it, low tech, they give you the cart and everything, but you could dirty it. That was the big worriment, the dirty bomb.
dirty Scuds.
Dirty Scuds, because in the Scud, the warhead, you could place some kind of biological or chemical agent, because they had in mind that these poor third world regimes could afford a lesser missile that was relatively low tech, because they couldn't guide it. The Scud missile was very primitive. You couldn't, very hard to guide them, if at all. So you could just point it to the direction of Tel Aviv or wherever. That was the big worry, that Tel Aviv and Jerusalem were going to get it. So in the way,
now they've got their Iskanders and other stuff out there. Yeah, it's not. They're a little more advanced, I think, in that respect.
Oh yeah, they're way more advanced. They have
and even with the Scuds, you could get them in a directed position of where you wanted to hit them. I mean, again, I think it does illustrate a part of fear that we have.
Oh, definitely.
Missiles and weaponry. Don't get me wrong, is probably some of that valid? Absolutely, but does that also mean that we should invade the world? No.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, because when it comes to the Soviet Union back in even the 80s, the geopolitical will to attack Israel by their neighbors wasn't there in terms of the Soviet Union. They knew that they gave certain, back when the PLO was radical, if they gave them certain missiles and ordnance that they were going to use against Israel. And there was sort of always a backdoor pipeline between the Kremlin and the Knesset. And so a lot of, you got to realize, the neocons, they have about a few decades of making mountains out of molehills. Prude, you know this, right? I don't have to educate you on this.
Yeah.
Making mountains out of molehills geopolitically. But now you have the libtard version of that on the geopolitical scene. So I don't know, what could they use against the Chinese? Could they say that because they delete, I don't know, they delete gay scenes in their movies, that they're evil? I don't know, what can you do against the Chinese optically for the new lib version of neoconservatism? I don't know. It's kind of funny, the world we're living in right now. But yeah, a lot of these fears run. All of Iraq, let's face it, was a lie. I know it's a cliche talking point, but it's the intel that people like Valerie Pring, for example, Valerie Plain Wilson, that they got Robert Novak to burn her whole career and blow her position in the Washington Post. And she could have she was in the field with her husband. She could have gotten kidnapped because of that, but they didn't care, right? Because it was the Bush administration. So, no, a lot of this stuff, the concocting of evidence against the enemies of the regime is just it's truly incredible when you look back on it,
Yeah, just reading, and again, I'm reading, and all the stuff's being relitigated, which is a strange thing. Because it got relitigated when when Jeb Bush was running in 2016, and we're gonna see it happen again.
Yeah.
I think now, especially when the discussion over what's the word I'm looking for, happens the most with respects to Mike Pence and sort of this neoconservative philo-Semitism. I imagine that you'll see more of that. But there's a poll that just came out for August of this month. Trump's got over over 56% of people for Florida. So it's just I don't think he's got too much to worry about. And I don't know why. Like Pence is running for no other purpose other than to claim like I'm the man responsible for the Trump administration. I just wasn't a traitor or whatever. And it's just like I'm tired of it. Like we're gonna get more and more of this crap.
Florida is obviously key for the GOP, right? You have to.
Well, yeah, no Republican candidate for president has won an election nationwide without winning Florida.
Whoa. Is that going back to Eisenhower? That's going way before Eisenhower, right?
I mean, it's a more modern thing. I don't know how far back it goes, but I mean, like you need Florida and Ohio. You need both.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now I just have that vision of Krusty when he was in the bunker in the emergency broadcast. He's like a picture of Eisenhower. He's like, let's get busy. By the way, I always wanted to use the title for something. I know it's a millennial Norwood thing. Okay, as Martin has pointed out, with accuracy, he can point out who is a millennial on Twitter. But I always wanted to use Cesspool on the Potomac, which was as much as I hate Lisa Simpson, it was the title of Lisa Simpson's speech that she gave to Washington, Cesspool on the Potomac. So and it's got the pig from the trough of money. That was hilarious. That was when The Simpsons was good. Can we talk about Michael Obongo now? We're going to transition to Obama instead of
let's go for it. We're already in the cesspool.
Right. I think it's funny. I think BAP had this great take about like the Trump mugshot being a work of art, like after World War II being one of the greatest works of art. But do we want to talk about the mugshot first and then Obama?
Sure, I don't mind. It feels weird that it was. It kind of felt like a blip, like everyone, it got over 200 million views in like less than 24 hours. And then everyone's like, okay,
Yeah.
There's some people that still have it.
Vingald has a question for you about George Kennan, but I wonder if Vingald is going to see the super chat for that question. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
I don't know. I thought it was a master class to use the mugshot as his like first tweet since having his account restored. I mean, like that was fantastic. But it felt so strange. And I talked about this earlier this week, if not last week, where it was just like Trump, I think because of all the indictments and things, he has to be very careful about what he says, lest he gets charged with something else for some bullshit reason. Not like they won't come up with a reason to indict him again. But like the hour or like the mood is different because everyone wants to go back to 2012. Everyone wants to go back to 2008. And it was just like Tucker Carlson's asking him in that interview on debate night, do you think they're going to kill you? Do you think there's going to be civil war? And Trump's just like, I don't know.
They could try.
The American people, they're a lot better than, I'm like, what is this? Because, and maybe, and for a moment of being like reflexive, right? Like, well, maybe it is just me being online and kind of more keyed into things and tuned in to know that maybe like, things are really bad. And like, but Tucker's got a line of logic, like they banned you on social media. They've indicted you. They want you arrested. They arrest your supporters. If none of that works, the next logical step is to kill you. And I'm like, that is the next logical step. And, anyone from, the Romans to Machiavelli to more modern, authoritarians would like say, yeah, it's kind of what you do. You got to kill the competition, literally and figuratively. And so, I mean, like, it's a work of art to give him the stare. And even like the Atlantic writer, like he wants you to look at him. And it's like, you wanted this to be a humiliation ritual. You all wanted him to look defeated and haggard and tired and arrested. And you had to use some, DA from Georgia and Atlanta to like give you your mugshot. You're like all so excited and happy about having this mugshot. And no, he gives you a death stare that says, I will kill you. And it has that stare of saying like, you cannot break me. And it's very difficult for me to like look at that and just be like, yeah, things are normal. And anyone who plays it like it's normal recognizes that the jig is up, like if we started like openly saying like on a debate stage, like, right, like on national television in front of millions of people, if you were to say, listen, they have indicted this man 4 times. They'll probably try again. They want him in jail. People openly joke about killing him. And his supporters, lawyers, and advocates are either politically persecuted, punished, arrested, or shot by federal officials.
John Eastman, the lawyer.
Yeah, or John Eastman, the guy who did nothing wrong and does exactly what I think is supposed to be said. And so it's like, okay, then if we say all that and we admit it, then the jig is up, right? The curtain falls and we all see the ugly cabal of people behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. And I don't think anyone wants to admit that, because the moment you admit that, you're in a totally different footing, both politically and rhetorically, because it's just like, yes, they're arresting us, they're killing us, and I guess that means we have to rebel or fight back or whatever. And no one wants to talk about that. And then the second thing is because even if you were to admit that, you're not in a position to, I think, change things. No. And these are the regime change conversations that, like, who is it? Patrick Deneen and Curtis Yarvin, they talk about regime change all the time. He's got a whole book on it. And no one talks about the military in those instances.
No.
Because the military, at the end of the day, is the ultimate institution that has the veto power, because it controls the armed forces and by extension violence on anyone that wants to change the regime. And because if you're not talking about that, it's very hard to assume that you have a very stable understanding of how we actually change regimes in world history. Because those things usually are armed and violent and bloody. And even if we were to admit it openly, right, like this podcast or whatever, like we may not be doing this if that jig were up, right? Because it's like, okay, I got to go defend myself now and make sure that I can survive. It'd be a little different. And so, like, the mugshot is a neat political tool, and maybe we can hold on to the semblance of an election, because who knows afterwards. I don't think we're going to I think elections are done in this country. I thought 2020 kind of proved that. And the only things that right now you have a lot more impact and influence on is local elections. But I mean, great mugshot, great picture. It's a good rallying cry. You know, it's got that sort of, I don't know who's a famous punished, figure on the, I say that and I'm thinking of somebody else. They're trying to treat it like, letters from Birmingham jail or whatever, because like the right in America is so libtarded it can't actually think of anybody else that was also imprisoned for having good beliefs. And I mean, like, there are plenty of American examples of that.
Go back to like Thoreau, even though that was kind of
they can't go back to Thoreau, because, like, I mean, honestly, like, that might be a better way to frame it, because it's like, the beautiful birds and the, return to Walden. We want beautiful, clean coal. And it's just like, I'm being arrested because I don't want to go to war, and I want to end the war in Russia and Ukraine tonight, tomorrow, in 24 hours, the war could be over, as he says. But because I'm an anti-war activist, they put me in jail because I support the American people. And so these Bushies and neocons. See, like, the Thoreau would be a really great way to frame it. But, no one wants to admit that things are seriously wrong, and that we have screwed with things that you can't screw the cap back on, because you didn't unscrew a cap, you pulled a cork out of a bottle, and unless you're willing to force with violence to make it back and put it back in, you're not going to do that. That's why the left is using violence, because they want the cork back in. They don't want people rebelling. They don't want saying, hey, why are you replacing me? Hey, why are you, like, screwing over my ability to buy a home? Hey, why are you, like, sending all my tax dollars through a weird ethnic conflict in the middle of, like, Eastern Europe? None of this is really good.
Why are you, like, quickly stealing my ability to buy groceries on a consistent basis?
Like, why am I only allowed to purchase, like why is baby formula, like, almost inaccessible? Like, why is shampoo being locked behind things? Why aren't you guys arresting criminals? Why are you, like, worshiping the feet of, like, disgusting, repeat offenders, criminals? Like, like, this is it. And so I think but again, right, this is the same thing that happens every other time. No sufficient majority of the people wake up.
I don't know if I could top that rant, but let me go into an art analysis. And then an Iron Duke, if you want me to ask Prude a question, you could sneed that super chat. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. I'll ask Prude the question later. But my rant would be, I think that, I'm looking at it in terms of the aesthetic object. I think that mugshot, now, if they do redact him, I think that they will turn Trump into a religious figure, even more than he already is in the American consciousness, in terms of his lasting influence. I would say the biggest comparison, I mean, listen, I know the whole, like, 2000s, like, Al-Qaeda thing. I know it's probably a bad comparison politically, but I think it would turn Trump's visage into an Ayatollah Khomeini type of figure. of like people parading that mugshot down the street, the way that they've I actually have his book of writings right here, Ayatollah Khomeini, Islam and Revolution. But they would turn him into that type of religious figure. And I think that, could they get away with it? I think they can, because the hyper reality of Trump's administration, could it not end in like a total, like overt John F. Kennedy moment of like just redacting him? And people would tolerate it, because they wouldn't tolerate it, but they would like, it would be part of the sort of Hollywood hyper reality narrative of the rise of Trump and his lasting influence upon a watershed of what Americana is. Whether we want to admit it or not, that is the aesthetic importance of Trump. The first mugshot of an American president. Well, actually, I don't think it's the first mugshot, because I think, like, wasn't there an American president that got in trouble in his youth and they had a mugshot of him? Or no?
That's different than
that's different than
former president. It's not like I mean, I get it. Like Andrew Johnson was had an impeachment setting, but it's not like after Andrew Johnson got out of office, like the radical Republicans of like Grant's administration was like, arrest that man, and like we're gonna put a derogatory mugshot of him and have him hanged and quartered. You know, like we didn't have that.
How many boomer liberal memes of Trump's mugshot have there been, of like cartoons of Trump's mugshot?
Yeah, right? I mean, there's the same thing of I mean, like they wanted to do it to Bush, and it's just kind of funny. Like again, that more antiquated time of like, he's a war criminal, put him in jail, Nuremberg.
War criminal, war criminal, war criminal, war criminal.
But yeah, just
whoo. Yeah, oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
No, but like the boomer lib means like, it's funny because the reason I think that the Trump mugshot is a dialectical image in the Walter Benjamin sense is because all of those AI edits or cartoons of Trump's mugshot, like supposed mugshot, all of that was obliterated by the real thing of Trump's mugshot. The way that he stared into the soul of whoever was taking that photo, the cop, the administrator that was taking the photo. It's just that like, it can be like that image of Ayatollah Khomeini or another figure, even in America, wasn't like Lincoln's image paraded around the same way? Or was it?
Well, I mean, he got turned into a martyr really quickly because they actually did. I mean, he was assassinated. Like it's a little different.
Yeah. It's
and plus he suspended habeas corpus and all sorts of shit. So I mean, like, he's martyred. I mean, he's lionized even more so now because a bunch of immigrants just hop onto the whole General Sherman thing. But
yeah, and especially after Obama, because Obama was the biggest lionizer, which we will talk about when we finally get to the David Garrows interview. But yeah, the sort of like the purchase of being an American to a lot of immigrants is to hate certain forms of Americana, especially the South. To hate the South is like the purchase power of like, I'm an American now. But no, it's like the Trump mugshot is really a dialectical image. But you're talking about the military power. Who is that? Like, I forget his name, but there was that horrendous journalist from just a total garbage sewer rat from the Washington Compost who had that. No, like he had just like a total yellow belly journalist. He had that like speech from General Milley, the leaked documents about like the generals are like calling like the MAGA chuds fascists and all that. And how, like, to me, it was just like, and libs were like dunking on, they were like sharing it and dunking on them. But to me, that was like really the saddest image of like the boomer conservative that voted for Trump.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Mark Milley called him, a fascist.
Yeah. No, but my point is, it's just a sad image of like that night on the 20th, like the boomer conservative thinking that the American Republic is one way, which a lot of American patriotism is embodied in the military, right? And it's like they assume that the military is like on their side because we're American patriots. But in fact, the reality of the political machine that has infected the military in Washington is totally against them. And it's like this very sad, morose, like, it's like they're seeing the skin suit of what they knew to be the American military, and it's like it's very sad because like it's like the people that you think are still with you, that you think is still this other thing that embodies Americana in the US military, that they're like going to be the defenders of the Constitution or freedom or whatever. Like that, those are like that's gone. Unless something radically changes. It's like the General Millies and the other generals of Impossible Women, like that's the way of the future.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And like a staggering percent of the American military, because it's become a jobs training program, because of the way that the political class has abused and offshored the futures of, you know, American heartlanders. A lot of the American military, like they're what, made up of illegal immigrants and people that don't exactly sign on to what America is. And it's like there's a huge demographic problem, and it's like very much like late Rome, Visigoth mercenary type scenario going on. It's like it's depressing in a way, because a lot of those people that have that idea of America as it's embodied through the American military, I mean, they were, after 2020, the wool was pulled off of their eyes, and it's very sad. And I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Prude.
No, I don't know what will happen, because I mean, like where I live, and I see it everywhere I go, and it feels like, in some respect, it feels like a people betrayed, or also a people purposefully left behind. Is that, even in small town gravel roads or dirt roads, there are people in their homes with Trump 2024 and 2020 flags and things that tell you who they are politically. And they have a deep love for the country, because for all intents and purposes, it is theirs, even in their own tiny patch of it in the middle of nowhere and flyover country. But like, they're ignored. They're purposely shat on. And I mean, it's that high-low versus middle thing that gets talked about over and over again. And so like, they're looking for someone to pull them out of the dirt. And Trump, for all intents and purposes, brought those issues to forbearance on the debate stage in 2016. And I mean, like, overdoses, immigrants, crime, deindustrialization, the things that have affected the heartland forever. And he did narrowly win on those issues.
Oh yeah.
And he got more voters because of it in 2020 than he did in 2016, which almost never happens in a re-election campaign. You usually lose some voters to re-election than you do the other way around. But like, it was this bizarre world where these guys are looking for a savior. They're looking for help. And I don't know what they're going to do. I think that they may kill him. They may put him in jail. They're going to do something. But like, for these people, Trump was Prester John, like coming from a faraway land in the East that said, oh, look, we may disagree on some shit, but I'm here to pull you out of the dirt, and we're going to save you from like the mongrel hordes of like, globo homo. And like, Trump's got his own problems. Like, he was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We've talked about that before, but it's just like,
a lot of it was a failure, his administration. Yeah.
But a net good, even if some parts failed, an obvious net good. And so, to me, it's just, those people are still going to suffer, and they're still going to wither on the vine. And we're the bottleneck politically, sexually, genetically, economically. It's all here.
Yes.
It's already here.
Well, it's funny because, our good friend Catherine D had an article today she released about like posting on the internet being like feminine coded, but like how like men in particular are facing this like loneliness crisis. And it's funny, there's a lot of different pathologies that we talk about that are bred by like very lonely, sensitive young men and young women as well. And those things are going to increase. But to look at it civilizationally, I think that it's funny how the political left like deals with this issues, because they're like, of course, they're very pro decay and destruction, but it's in a way like the political left, the contemporary political left, they're almost like the real individualists, like the Jordan Petersons and the woke all distances of the the woke all distances of the world, and the Jordan Petersons, they got it wrong. The James Lindsay of the world get it wrong. The left are the real individualists because to them, there is no such thing as looking at a civilization and a series of factors as if that civilization works as a cohesive whole. And then when you introduce certain pathologies to the human stock of that civilization, and yes, I know a lot of it can be dehumanizing thinking I know enough critical theory of that to like, how that becomes dehumanizing. And like, for example, George Scott and Seeing Like a State talks about this, and Giorgio Agamben and Foucault and all that stuff. But to look at like the bottlenecks of a civilization, the political left doesn't have an answer. In fact, it's like, everyone can choose their own destiny. And it's like they can choose to imbibe in certain somas and certain things that can destroy their capacity to be functioning normal citizens with families and so forth. It's like, no, that's all cool. Who cares about that? And the right wing, but at the same token, the right wing does go a bit too far with looking at people as a phenotype rather than a person. That's different, right? But we can't afford in some ways. The issues are too pressing to afford that space of nuance to a lot of people in the political right is detrimental. And I get that argument because we're faced with a absolutely disgusting Leviathan that wants to eat up and destroy slowly everything in its path. But I think that the left, they have no solution to this. They have no answer because they're either like, it's a good thing, it's a good thing, or you can't really address things in terms of these culture war issues as a cohesive whole because that's evil, that's Austrian painterish, that's like a planned society, and it's a closed society as opposed to an open society. It's like, forever people talk about like Marcuse and the Frankfurt School. Who really you should blame? People like Karl Popper in terms of the contemporary political left. Not Derrida, okay? I'm sorry, we'll call distance. Not Derrida. Karl Popper. Right? So the point being is that we talk about these things in terms of systemic issues, and it's almost like it's a cry of the wilderness. But Trump, in a weird way, was the first one to point to like America as a cohesive whole. And when you introduce certain pathologies into the American body, then those things are destructive. And that's so different than the Republican, like look at all the people that came before Trump. John McCain, Jeb Bush, Mitt Romney. Like all these people were losers because they don't really like look at the real scenario, the real crux of the issue. And I know that the right wing does go too far in terms of looking at people as a phenotype and as an archetypal manifestation of who they are and what they consume. That's true. But I mean, there's got to be some kind of balance in that. Like, for example, today, I mean, people were like dunking on that like that Aboriginal guy. It's like some random Aboriginal guy. It's like, why dunk on him? You know what I mean? Like, yes, I know the aesthetic issue, yes, but it's like, it's not, but the point being is that Trump opened a fissure, like you were saying, the cork on the bottle cap. He opened up a fissure of a politics in America that does have a precedent and a history, but that the political left will never tolerate. And so that's why they want to destroy him. But I want to get your thoughts on that, Prude, but also our good friend and patron, 99 Duke, he asked what you think of, and please need those super chats. I know I'm not that much of a bastard where I'm only gonna ask super chat questions, but maybe I should.
I had someone give me shit the other day for this because I did a little community post saying thank you for the 10K, and some guy went off and he had said, well, then I guess it's over. You don't interact with chat as much, so I guess I'm gone. And I was just like, this is emphatically not true. I mean, chat is the main character of the show.
People complain that we interact with chat too much. That's the problem.
Well, they're just as much of a main character as the show is.
Exactly.
But I do it with my lectures and my news roundups on Saturdays. So it's just like, I don't know what the hell these people are on about, but whatever. So be it.
Yeah.
But what does he ask?
He asks, so get your thoughts about the phenotype versus like the individualism of the left. But chat loves Gio and Prude. He asked like, None and Aaron Duke asks, what do you think about Tucker bringing up the musing of the possibility of America entering a hot war with Russia next year when the Ukrainian army falls apart, which looks pretty likely to happen if we believe the numbers that McGregor has given out. 50K dead versus 400K dead. I mean, that's a huge number. But
yeah, and I mean, there's rumors of that they may actually do a full mobilization of whatever's left. But
yes, yeah, McGregor brought that up, and it's I know other people like Moon of Alabama. I know pro-Russian people have been
yeah.
But yeah.
Like that's as pro-Russian of a place as you can get for an American.
I believe Ukrainian sources, like people that are more spot on, that are pro-Ukrainian, they also muse upon this mobilization possibility. Like,
yeah,
I know War Monitor
there's quite a bit. And I mean, yeah, War Monitor's talked about it, and I think even the U.S. inter-elite fighting stuff. But I would not rule it out. I mean, this has been something that a good portion of people with an ethnic axe to grind that hold high positions in the U.S. State Department do want to do. And I think that if America were to go to war with Russia, the old ability to defend ourselves by the natural distance of two oceans no longer exists. You know, you live in a major U.S. city on the U.S. coasts, you're likely to be attacked by missiles. You know, we can disrupt, convoys, trade, starving, economic crisis will definitely happen. A draft would most assuredly happen because we can barely meet our recruiting goals. And I don't think we have the technical or industrial capacity to wage a war that long. But, if they're trying really hard, maybe they can recover in a year and make it happen. But, and again, that would involve NATO. And even then, I just pray it doesn't happen. But I don't think you can't rule out that possibility, because there are people that want to be, decolonizing and destroying what exists of Russia. It's almost as if, I feel like our politics are just in like the 1910s again, where it's just like, no, they really do want Russia to go. Yeah. I mean, these alliances, again, like it feels very World War I-esque. I wouldn't rule it out.
They wanted the Tsar to go. I mean, there's factions in the West that wanted the Tsar to go. But
I mean, yeah. I mean, the French left wanted the Tsar to go. And like Sean McMeekin's got a great lecture about this in the month of July leading up to World War I, where it's just like, it's very awkward because like France has this like military alliance with like Imperial Russia, but at the same time, like the French left hates the Tsar and doesn't want this alliance. And so you have these awkward moments of like, Tsar Nicholas II listening to La Marseillaise as they like have their national anthems play, and very awkward to say the least. And the French minister over there is only there because the leading guy of the French left was in jail. But
the French left hated the Tsar because they wanted to fulfill the sort of like Republican French dream of like no monarchies in Europe whatsoever. Was there more of a personal interest thing?
More of the general one in that respect. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like I'm not surprised that we're seeing this play out in that way. So I don't rule it out. 99 Iron Duke. I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen within a year. And if that is the case, then you have probably 6 to 8 months to prepare yourself, both in terms of food, supplies, networking, etc.
Well, the American people, because you're not dealing with insurgents. I remember, I forget, I may have been McGregor, or it may have been someone else that said, can the American people tolerate 10K dead, not injured, dead soldiers? American USD in the first month.
This was a question that was asked about Taiwan, and it was asked by an Indian member of the Royal Society. His name is Dr. Sumatra Mitra, and he's a great writer as a geopolitical realist. And I follow him because he's kind of like a nerd, and he's a big geek, but like his political writing is really smart. And he was saying like, I don't think the Americans are capable of understanding the shock of losing like even 8,000 people if a United States aircraft
carrier. How many people is on staff? 8,000?
Probably more. But he's like, I don't think the American people are ready to accept those numbers, because we've never had those numbers of losses like instantaneously. Like this is the point that Buchanan talks about in his books, especially with how like America becomes a superpower because we took the least amount of damage in 2 wars that brought the demographic death knell of Europe. You know, like we lost 462,000 some odd troops in World War II in comparison to, 782,000, right, in the First World War, and then like nearly 300,000 again for Britain in the Second. So it's just like really telling how that plays out. So, you lose 10,000 men and women in almost an instance. I don't think anyone's capable of acknowledging what that would even look like in the news. Because again, America's bloodiest war is the war it fought against itself. We lost 600,000 soldiers.
Even more than World War II?
We lost more. The Civil War remains the United States' most bloody conflict. In our history.
Because you're Americans murdering America.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of sheer body count of death, it's still our bloodiest war against ourselves.
Even more than World War II. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
It's indicative of the fact that we're I don't think we're capable of it. And they're talking about national service or a draft or things to do like that. I wouldn't put it past them. To try it. But how are you going to do it?
Half of young men in America probably aren't qualified for whatever.
We're not. It's more than half. It's more than half. I think the number is over 2/3.
They're going to draft Gen X gym dads. That's what we're going to do.
Well, I mean, I think the draft goes up to age 39. So yeah. I mean,
oh my God, it does go up to age 39.
I'm pretty sure.
Crap. Oh my God, they're gonna throw 50-year-olds in there too. They're gonna throw whoever fit 50-year-olds. They're gonna find.
I'm pretty sure. All men from ages 18 to 64 will now be eligible to the draft, according to a decision made by the congressional committees on December 16th. So the draft age extension rushed. Congress debates age. 18 to 20. No, I stand corrected. They are liable for service and training until the age of 35. But
will they draft women too?
Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, no one wants to see women getting domed by Russian artillery. Come on, are you kidding me? Let's face it.
Or a Chinese drone.
Or Chinese Chinese super subsonic missiles. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, in terms of the fighting, like the ground force of China, they're not that developed compared to America, but still, you never know. I mean, they have way more people they could throw into a meat grinder than America. Let's face it. But it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. I mean, hopefully, I think the best outcome for everybody, and I agree with McGregor, is okay. Listen, just give Russia those 4 territories. They'll leave Odessa alone. Maybe they'll leave other parts of Ukraine alone, and that's it. That's the best outcome ever. Okay, just stop. Just stop. That's it. And it could happen tomorrow, but politically, there's no will to stop.
And for more of a recent news update, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has rejected calls to start the process to remove Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis. Under Georgia law, they could be ousted failing to carry out the constitutional duties. But Kemp has decided that he will stand with Willis, and I think everyone knows that he doesn't want to have another family member's boyfriend get car bombed.
Is this related to Trump, right? The Fannie Willis is wow.
Yeah. The black DA.
Who control the Republicans? Control Georgia? It doesn't matter.
Oh, the governor is. The 2 senators of Georgia are. I mean, they're federal, but I mean, they're Democrats. Yeah. Georgia's awkward because it used to be kind of a red state, but of course the black vote has kind of swung the other direction.
Towards Trump or away from Trump?
No, against Trump.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, let's face it. I mean, no, but Cyber Ninja Zero makes a good point. Will Russia trust any deal at this point? No, they will not.
Why would they?
Why would they? Yeah, exactly. He said, why would they? I mean, this is the danger I feel of this war in general, is that there must be total victory on either side. And it looks like Russia is more in that position, at least if they don't interfere. If it's purely just the Ukrainians and maybe the Polish against Russia, they will win. But the danger is that if Russia takes a deal, this will get kicked down the can a few years. It'll be like Maidan again. It'll be like 2014, where around 2015, they took a half deal. They still fought each other every single day for 8 years. But it's no, they're after Merkel said the infamous, we basically tricked the Russians to rearm the Ukrainians. I don't think the Russians will trust any deal. Or if they do, if Putin is that much of an inept boomer that he'll just take a deal no matter what, then they're going to have the same problem, like maybe another 8 years. No, maybe another 5 years down the line. Maybe another 2 years down the line. So this is the danger with having the establishment that Washington has. And you know what I mean? So it's like in Viktor Orban, that's why he said, like, basically bring back Trump, because nobody in Washington right now is like trustworthy. So
plus there's no one, I think, of like a competent cadre of like the Foreign Service is taking a hit. Like,
yeah,
the big takeaway that I saw from, I mean, if you're still sending 100-year-old Henry Kissinger, who I get it, was the big architect for American Sino relations 50 some odd years ago.
Oh, yeah.
If you're sending in a 100-year-old man, former Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, stuff like that, to talk to the Chinese, that to me tells me we have no one competent to talk to.
Yeah.
And to be brutally fair, damning.
Yeah. And to be brutally fair, I mean, Russia has a lot of incompetent people as well that are probably inept to like what's going on in the West. To be totally honest, but the Chinese, though, I mean, do the Chinese even trust Biden at this point? No. I mean,
well, how can I trust Biden? He's not in charge.
But the administration. Sorry, I don't mean Biden.
Oh yeah, I know. I get that, but it's just like who's who's in charge? I don't know who's in charge. Who runs things in the State Department? Who runs things in the executive branch?
Victoria Nuland, not even.
Who are the managers? Who are the managers? I don't know who the managers are. Some of these people are kind of semi-public, others aren't. And so it's just like, I don't know.
Right.
But damn, Gio, we had one good episode last week and we're back to black pills.
Yeah, I know. No, but you know what the real black pill is, Prude? Speaking of which, is that, okay, on this show we talk about hyper-reality a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. But see, Prude, this will interest you from your geopolitical perspective, is that, okay, and I think John Mearsheimer and other realists, I think even George Kennan, someone, I should just say right now, Vingalt, because I don't know if Vingalt will send, I don't want to, cuck him with the super chat.
He's our best Janny. Don't do this.
Yeah. He asked about George Kennan being like, I forget the exact term, being like on the left or being a communist sympathizer or something like that.
Kennan had issues with McCarthy.
Yes.
And he was, I think, and his biography Gaddis's biography talks about it more. I've read his autobiography. I haven't read Gaddis's official Kennan biography, but he talks about it.
If Vingwald is still around, please send the question again, because I think it was something along those lines. Kennan had kind of a sussy baka.
Well, I mean, Kennan knew Russia better than he knew his own country.
Yeah.
He was obsessed with like Russian literature, Dostoevsky, Chekhov, etc. And so, but the other issue is that he's in a really awkward position in government prior to his retirement.
Yes.
And Dean Atkinson hated him. He was already sort of considered. He was also kind of considered a racist reactionary during the Second World War by FDR's and his administration standards.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He had some spicy things to say about Zionists, South Americans, and those in the Iberian Peninsula. But neither here nor there.
Was he involved in some kind of Fabian socialism coup or some kind of sussy? Yeah, he was involved in psyops. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he was. I mean, remember, Kennan recruited, former, quote unquote, former Trotskyist James Burnham to the OSS. So, I mean, like, he's involved.
Amazing writer, by the way. We love James Burnham here.
But he was involved in the in the OSS during the war, and he was recruited by Kennan. But I mean, like, Kennan had some leanings to it. I mean, in his book,
was not an explicit Fabian, but he was.
No, but I mean, like, if you read like Round the Cragged Hill, right? He's got sort of this like secularist understanding of religion. He calls himself a Christian, although he doesn't know how he feels about it. because he's not a part of like any official church, although he's sort of he likes Dostoevsky and he likes that sort of understanding of repentance. He believes the gospels are true, but more like a personal mantra. But like when it comes to like government, he's more like, he thinks that, freedom doesn't last very long. And I think that you have to like, serve and like actually rule over people, because freedom doesn't last long in the hands of the individual. And it's just like, he's got some lefty leanings, I think, in a lot of respects, because he wasn't a big fan of McCarthy. He also knew that like the game he was playing with the Soviets, he kind of called it, it depends, because on certain points in Kennan's career, like he had viewed his Mr. X document about how to take care of the Soviets, the containment and deterrence policy, he viewed how the rest of the USG reacted to it as sort of this overreaction. And even a more leftist historiography like William Appleman Williams said that like Kennan spent the rest of his career trying to like push back against his own idea and overreaction to the Soviets.
Yeah.
Which I think there's some truth to that, because I mean, even later in his life, at the end of the Cold War, he's like, listen, we cannot do containment in a post-Soviet age. Like, it has to be different. And he was really against NATO expansion. Oh, yeah. He was more of a diehard foreign service agent. I mean, he was the first of many of the first new class in 1926 to be part of this federal foreign service, served for over 20 years, left after the 1950s, did a lecture circuit, and was just an adamant writer and critic of what the federal government was doing with respect to the Cold War. He thought that what we were doing in Vietnam had a lot of issues. We weren't doing it right. It's a little more complicated than to say, well, was he just like a lefty, Soviet, fanboy? No, he was a staunch Cold Warrior. He was predominantly conservative on how things should be done, a preservation of the nation and its people, and that you can't hate them if you don't understand them, or you can't even fight them effectively if you don't understand them. Like, and he's also kind of this like OG kind of autist. I mean, like, he'd walk around with a copy of Gibbon's, the fall of the Roman Empire and things like that, and he could quote it, without looking at it. When he was a younger man, and kind of cringe in my respect. But he was someone, I think, of a foreign service agent who tried to be as realistic as possible about his own appraisements and was willing to call out when he was wrong. But he was also in an awkward political situation come the time of McCarthy, because he does have a past with Trotskyists. Like, he did recruit Burnham, and he did know people who were compromised and affiliated. And, he's like, but he also needed those people to work with him because they were his connections to the Soviet Union. Yeah. So it's more complicated than was he just some like subverter or lefty,
Well, he sounded like he had a bit of like Fabianist leanings in terms of his thinking, but maybe not his like explicit like goal or associations. But
no, I wouldn't say that it was like his explicit goal was to be like Fabianist, but like
there's something like from alt-right Wagner,
But I mean, there's something about Kennan that has that sort of, I mean, like, he was a bureaucrat like his entire life, he was an agency man. Like, there's going to be that more pro-government kind of side to things than just the traditional individualist thing.
Yeah. But that's a great thing there. I mean, Kennan, he does sound like Eric, was he a crypto Fabian? He does sound all over the place, but yes, I think like, there is, I think, a form of managerialism that can almost serve reactionary tendencies, which is quite interesting. But, what I was going to say is that I mentioned Kennan because when you lack a sort of competence, whether it's a sort of realpolitik thinking of people like Kennan or Mearsheimer or other ones, then it becomes very difficult to gauge not just the reality on the ground in terms of geopolitics, but also the way that the regime will respond and go. If you've set up this sort of like, well, the war in Ukraine is the most immediate example. If you set up this like religious devotion to destroying Russia the way they have in terms of the hyper-real media apparatus of manufacturing consent through very underhanded hyper-moralistic means, the sort of hyper-moralization of it. If you actually examine what these like leftoids say about it, it's like, it's really off the wall, because you basically have set up the regime to fail in terms of meeting the obligation of the post-World War II driving ethos of like, these people are like, in the Kremlin is sort of like the Austrian painter, and there's a religious devotion to destroying them, or like, quote unquote, decolonizing them. And so in a way, the goal of what this form of politics is doing can never meet the reality. And when it does meet the reality, very terrifying things could potentially happen. And so there is no hard-nosed, real political motivation there that can mediate what is a proper goal and what is a silly nonsense goal that is driven by ideology and this quasi-secular mythology that has been instantiated by the media and by activist groups and NGOs and certain activists on social media certain groups that we all know about, that drive discourse into a certain direction that becomes impossible. And I think that this is sort of like a weird form of ideological burnout. It's sort of like, in a way, it's like liberal mental tourism of them like venturing into these complicated issues from a position of safety and vicariousness and saying, well, actually, the world should run like this and this pressing issue should run like this. So it's like a weird form of like lib mental tourism that even like the highest ranks of the State Department are going through. And it's very interesting. It's very sad. And it's very dangerous because it's like, that's what Mersheimer meant when he said these other countries, they operate with a 19th, 20th century view of geopolitics. America has a quote unquote 21st century view of it, the Western world in general. And so I think that,
well, I mean, it
becomes impossible.
It's postmodern in a lens of that. Because like this was the big critique against, say, like the Waltz and early Mearsheimer work was like, this is where the constructionists come from. And they're like, listen, like things are made of social constructs. So you get this postmodernist lens of like foreign policy. And he famously said a state, oh God, his name, like, it'll come back to me in a minute, but he had said anarchy, a state is what you make of it, or anarchy is what you make of it. Because like if we live in these anarchic systems of the world and like we base it on these like global structures and institutions, then like, oh yeah, like these are going to be predicated on like history, how we construct them and present them into a global order. And like you actually have to be kind of cognizant of that. And like there is a constructivist realism case to be made, and I know a guy wrote a book on it, which I haven't read yet, and I need to get to. It's in my massive pile of books that are right in front of me. But I think that there's some truth to that. And so like now, again, sort of echoing that old American tradition that Kenan was talking about, we sell ourselves these warm fuzzies, which add on to the social construction that like America's supposed to be this like liberalizing force for good in the world under this like anti-fascist nonsense, on top of that little progressive slop bit of like, oh, we have to ensure that Uganda's got gay marriage, we got to ensure that like Ukraine legalizes sex work so they can collect more revenue to fund the war or whatever. Like these sort of forces about like or the NATO wave, like gay marriage is non-negotiable shit. Like those are the warm fuzzies you sell yourself. And like you don't. And so those social constructs of like, well, we're good and we're kind of this individualist society. You can do what you want. We can all pursue X, Y, and Z, this consent-based world, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, man. What two adults do in their own bedrooms, none of my business. This like libertine, liberal fantasy that like we can vote ourselves more goods and we can vote ourselves these freedoms, which don't really mean anything. Nope. And so it's like at the end of the day, it's a battle of these social constructs. And so, yeah, like the Russian side has really good propaganda on this, I think, in a lot of respects.
Oh yeah,
and that's why it sits really well with like American right wingers, because they're just like, oh God, country, people, yeah, sign me the fuck up. And it's just like, and then all of a sudden like lefties can be like, look at these like Russophilic traitors to the country or whatever. And
yeah, the traitor language is quite interesting, because traitor to what?
Traitor to what?
Yeah.
That's not my country. It's not my country. I don't think that I don't identify with.
You're a traitor to Ukraine, you mean? Or you're a traitor to American Empire?
Am I a traitor to Israel? Like,
yeah, there you go. That's another one. Yeah, it's like,
and so it's a weird.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. My country is actually run by the Ukrainian ethnic lobby because of Chrystia Freeland. So I may be a traitor to the Ukrainians, but I mean, yeah, it's like, listen, okay, we joke about it, but like when you actually contemplate the number of young men in Eastern Europe who have died because of this, and whether you want to blame and yes, the Russians do share responsibility. Okay, yes, fine, but it's just like, what do you expect? You want them to keep dying forever? I guess Chrystia Freeland, Victoria Nuland in America, they want to keep them dying forever, I guess. Right? So yeah, sorry, I cut you off, dude. I cut you off.
No, you're good. It is a frustrating, because like, yeah, like, oh, you're a traitor, and it's just like, there are two countries inside of my own borders. Like, one is, again, a primarily like white European, like old style founding fathers, etc. Like, they're mainly just old Whiggish liberals, and then you got like hyper progressive, like a very ethnically diverse party that is just like, nope, you all have to accept the fact that we're gonna bring in a cajillion more immigrants, and that America's about making movies about pop culture icons like Air Jordans and flaming hot Cheetos, and that's gonna be it for you. Bye. Like, and we're gonna make sure that everyone in the world can understand how good it is to eat shitty popcorn, corn syrup, soda while the latest Cape shit movie comes out. Like, and no thanks. I don't want to sign up for that. But the problem that comes for a lot of people that still love their country is like, well, where do I go from here? And I get it. You should have an exit strategy. Yeah. But like, I was born here. I'd like to die here.
I know it's a Tucker Carlson talking point, but like, worried more about the geographic integrity of Ukraine than worried about the geographic integrity of America. That's really funny, right? Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense, because when you talk about the Eastern Ukraine, those people are never going to accept Kiev, and Kiev ain't never going to accept them. So, Kiev. What did the way that our good friend Kevin Michael Grace used to do? He's like, Kiev. Remember, he used to do that, but
it's Kiev. Sorry, or Kiev.
No, but all joking aside, I mean, geopolitically, it seems very simple. Those ethnic Russians don't want to consent to being ruled over by the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians hate those people. So it doesn't seem, well, anyways. The point being is that, like I've always said, we may joke about it, and I may certainly come off as being pro-Russian, but to me, it's just a tragedy. It's a tragedy that in some ways has been culminating since at least before the fall of the Berlin Wall. So yeah. I think that either way you cut it, it's terrible, and it's dangerous, and it's insane. But, it's like, so Louis Cachet said, have you seen the propaganda video the Russians released about the family?
I did. And it was...
Yeah, it's tragic. It's tragic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, trying to appeal to a common ethnos and things. Like, geez,
Because despite what people say, the Russians do not have the G-word idle hatred of the Ukrainians. That's not... If you know people in Russia, this is not the case. I mean, yes, there are Russian nationalists. They're even, like, I hate to say it, even certain rhetoric from Dugin is like too far, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not blinded. I admit this, right? But the vast majority of people in Russia, they do not harbor this hatred for the Ukrainians. If anything, they say that it's a tragedy that the Ukrainians are being used as pawns by the West. But, I mean, those people, they're pretty damn similar. They share history together. And I think, like, but this is what I mean by the hyper-real 21st century notion of geopolitics. There must be a fake narrative that's implanted on very complicated geopolitical situations. And one of them is that, there's this, I mean, I think, but unfortunately, the cord that connects the Russians and the Ukrainians, that's been severed now. And will it ever go back? I don't know. But the point being is that the Western world, and they did, and the model of this was, of course, the Bosnian War. This, when they bombed Serbia in 1999, that was the narrative, right? Like, so you're taking very complicated issues, and they did this in Iraq, because if you want to go by the 9/11 bombers, they kind of weren't Iraqis, most of them. They were in that other nation near Iraq, Saudi Arabia. So it's like the false narratives keep piling on and piling on. And we talked about this on the show. During the Bush years with Afghanistan, it was the narrative of we are the crusaders and we're defending Western civilization against these barbaric, backward people with Islam.
I would have taken that rhetoric over
Obama.
What we got. I would have taken it way over
Obama.
what we got.
They're barbaric and they're backwards because they don't want gay marriage and women going to university. So it's like
I would have taken the first half of that. They're barbaric and backward, and they hate our religion.
They hate Christianity.
But every time that we intervene, who suffers the most? It's not Muslims, it's Christians.
Funny how that works, right? Funny how
that works out.
Yeah. And now George Bush is just a good old liberal. He's making he makes portraits of Muslim migrants and
of all the people he regrets killing.
Yeah, God.
You don't see him painting portraits of the soldiers that kill themselves due to his shitty wars. But
no, exactly.
Heaven forbid we don't paint a portrait of those happy little Iraqi translators.
Yeah. Or
I hate George W. Bush.
Oh God. I mean, you know what's funny is that he doesn't paint the soldiers that he condemned to a life of misery. He doesn't paint all the people that he destroyed in Iraq and Afghanistan. But the refugees that come over here, he paints their portraits, right? No, it's funny. It's funny with George W. Bush. It's like someone mentioned McMaster's. Didn't General David betray us? Didn't he have a statement about how basically Russia funds global terror or something like that? It was something
pretty sure he did.
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up.
It's funny because all the libs, they hated him. They called him David betray us, and and you know what? I'm going to say this on record. David betray us. You are a traitor to Americans. You are a traitor to American people. I'm sorry. You are David betray us. Sorry, but now that's cool. Now he gets normalized along with George Bush. It's Prue, do you agree that David Petraeus is a traitor? Of course, yeah. I mean,
hey man, you agree with these words I put in your mouth? No,
I'm sorry, Prue. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
The
Yeah,
views of me does not. Yeah, it should.
I do agree. Oh, okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, but what he did during Iraq was absolutely despicable. But Petraeus is called out. Exactly. Only on the digital archipelago we're gonna call out David Petraeus. So
that's right, baby. It's 2009 again. Wake up. You're gonna play Fallout 3 for the 18th time as we wait for the economy to get just a little bit better. It's okay. Go call someone an N-word on Call of Duty again. It's okay. Welcome. Come home, white man. Come home.
Don't worry. The economic recovery is on the way. Obama and Alan Greenspan.
There's going to be a bailout. TARP's going to help us. There's going to be investment in infrastructure. You work in construction. And then you can go home, flip open your natty light, drink a little bit, call someone the N-word on Modern Warfare 2 COD lobbies. It's the best part of Obama's presidency.
Ralph
it can only
Nader
get better.
Gets screwed again with tort reform again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ralph Nader's he's
it's
on the way.
Change you can believe in.
It's TARP 1, TARP 2, TARP 3, TARP a million.
And they never paid any of that shit back. Change that you can believe in.
Oh God, yeah. Isn't it funny how we're nostalgic for 2009?
No, that was I don't know who tweeted it, but he's just like, why does everyone act like we're in 2008 again? And I was just like, that's where we're at,
Yeah.
The GOP goes as far as it gets, right? In that respect to what's the word I'm looking for?
Did you tweet out something like it's in a better position to be in 2012 than 2008? Yeah. I mean, for a lot of people it is. It's just why bother, shovel ready jobs, Joshua Biden.
Shovel ready jobs. We're gonna have those Tiger grants ready for states to invest in local infrastructure. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
Cemetery, you mean?
Oh, yeah, shovel jobs at the cemetery. So true. So true.
Oh god, it's back, baby. 2008. We're gonna listen.
It's
to
back.
some...
We're getting a Modern Warfare 3 remaster.
Yeah.
Starfield just came out. Like, it's great. Relax a little. Relax.
Yeah, relax. Don't worry. I'm
Relax,
sure.
kids. It's all gonna be fine.
I'm thinking musically. What 2008? What do you think of musically when you think of 2008?
I think of T-Pain.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, T-Pain's gonna come out with a new record. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh will be on the radio again. We're gonna resurrect Rush Limbaugh. And he's gonna call feminists fat, ugly women. Yes, exactly.
Demon rats are at it again, kids.
The demon, the demon craps. Yeah, the demon rats. Yeah, Kesha's back. Like the Trump speech will be, we're gonna bring Kesha back. We're gonna bring Kesha back. Kesha's not gonna be a libtard. We're gonna bring Linkin Park back. What about Chester Bennington? We're gonna find a good suitable replacement for Chester Bennington.
We're gonna bring him back from the dead.
Yeah,
and if we're lucky, he doesn't off himself again.
Well, yeah, maybe Rush Limbaugh will bring him back, but he's not gonna have the lung cancer.
He's got to stop smoking for that.
Yeah, he'll go back to pills.
Yeah.
Just
go back to popping. Just go back to pop. Speaking of pills, this is my sleeper tweet that I actually really thought was funny that no one noticed. Was a gay bar called Peter Zeihan's. Or what did I? Oh fuck! I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, it was Peter Zeihan's Unexpected Super Popper. I'm like, that's.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's what terrible. I want. Yeah, accidental super popper. Yeah, that's what the gay bar is called. Oh, that's my favorite. My favorite tweet of the week.
Yeah. Oh my god. That better make Dudley Newright. Yeah, that better make the blog.
Yeah, it won't. That's okay. But remember when Mitt Romney was seen as radical in the 2008 primaries? And you had like Charlie Rose and the other guys at ABC News being like, "We don't know anything about Barack Obama." And it's funny that we wanted to do this Garrow interview thing because it's just like
we'll do that next week, maybe.
Well, we can do it now. It doesn't matter. But it's just like, oh, we actually had like a gay black guy as the president of the United States for 8 years, and like no one gives a shit in 2023. Like Barack Obama has been like conveniently slid back into the like nice neoliberal camp of things, where even after he got out of office, he's just all like. He's sort of criticizing the woke lightly, where he's just like, if they say this, I'm more woke than you, and that means I win. And he's like, no, that's not how you govern policy.
Does that look like a gay Indonesian man?
Could be. It could be.
Could be. I like how he has. I always liked how he had like he had super. Like, first of all, if you look at the shoulder width of American presidents, how did Obama get elected? Like,
because he was tall and African American.
No, okay, yes, I know.
But what is Barack Obama's height? It's probably like 6'1".
Yeah,
he's 6'2". Yeah, he was fine.
Black height.
Barack Hussein Obama.
What is that? What is that in?
That's 6'2".
Okay. There you go.
I love that's the Canadian internet does things in meters. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah,
Trump height. Trump 6'7". Holy shit!
Whoa.
In meters, he is 2.01 meters. Baron, you could rule over America when you're old enough.
Yeah.
God, please.
I like that Fishy Frenzy super chat. I can't wait to get to it. General Betray Us. I love that. I love when they came up with that. The libs came up with that. But anyways, do you want to skip over the first half, or do you want to read some of the because I think the second half is
I like because the first half is just him like he broke up with his Jewish girlfriend or whatever.
No, she's Asian.
Oh, he broke up with his Hapa girlfriend over.
Yeah. Oh, he's Hapa. There you go.
Over the issue of like Nation of Islam and the Coakley affair.
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam accused. Oh my god! Woo! Oh, this is back in the day. Yeah, Louis Farrakhan, he's done.
Where's that book? Where's that? Oh, there it is. Let me go pull this out from a pile.
Yeah.
If you want something spicy, you can go to my Odyssey channel. There's a great book called What Went Wrong: The Creation and the Collapse of the Black Jewish Alliance. Dimes from Blood Satellite and I. We kind of get into this stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, so Obama, he minimized a lot of the interests of them in the White House. Whose vision of the story is correct? Who knows? The bridge between the two accounts is Obama emerging attachment to blackness, which required him to fall in love with and marry a black woman. In Obama's account, his attachment to blackness is truthful and noble. In Yeager's account, his claims are instrumental and selfish. He granted particularism to the experienced suffering of his own tribe while denying it to others. Which, I mean, this is Tablet Magazine. You gotta consider the bias, right? But
you don't say.
Yeah,
Tablet Magazine.
Dreams of my.
But I mean, okay, what's wrong with that?
No, of course, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, what's wrong with partiality to your own people?
But I guess the argument is that as a president of the United States, but let's face it.
Well, more like as folks on the suffering of his own tribe while denying it to others, says Tablet Magazine.
Yeah, true. Was George Bush the last WASP president, or was it someone else?
Actual gospel believing Christian, I'd argue Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, yeah.
I would sincerely argue that Jimmy Carter, for all of his faults as a president, at least honestly believed.
What is Trump ethnically? He's Scotch. What is
Trump's ethnic background? I'm gonna go look it up because I don't know actually.
I think he was Irish.
Sure, he was.
Alexa, play XCX.
No, Germany.
Yeah, he's German. Yeah, he's German. Oh, that's
and his mother's side is from Scotland.
Yeah, Scotch German. Yeah, so yeah, not exactly
Nordic blood.
Yeah. Play XCX song. I just saw the gayest guy. I just saw the gayest guy. Oh man, his best friends with Joe Bonnie. His favorite band is Roadsaw. I guess Obama's favorite band is Roadsaw. No, I'm kidding. Have you ever listened to that song, Prude?
No.
By AXCX, RAP Seth Putnam.
Should I?
No, you shouldn't. Don't worry about it.
CX.
No, don't look it up.
Too late. Oh, I love this. What a great name for a band. I love it. It just gets worse. It just gets worse.
You're not a fan of original grindcore?
No, I'm not, but I just saw one about beating up.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Grindcore band formed in Newton, Massachusetts, 1980. Alright. Let's go look up their albums and let's see what they got.
40 More Reasons to Hate Us is one of the best ones.
Oh, man. Time to go look that one up. Thanks. Title. Everyone should be redacted. What a... billions must die before the internet. I love this.
Jazz F-slurs don't like us anymore. That's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, New Right Regner. Yeah, that's right. Every song is legendary. It's true. Man, I can't believe I introduced.
I'm reading some of these song titles. Woo!
Yeah, you're a G-slur in a coma, so you're a fruit and a vegetable. That was the best one. It's funny because Seth Putnam actually did end up in a coma, so it's funny. And then he's like, they asked him about that song. He's like, yeah, it sucked. Who cares? I don't care anymore. Oh boy, what a divergence here in the digital archipelago.
I'm a fan. Look at this.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have to listen to some of these.
Well, apparently, Seth Putnam came out with lyrics about a certain sensitive young man. If you type in "sensitive man," so there you go.
Yeah, look at that.
If we're reading song titles, we need to start with Cannibal Corpse. Well, the Chris Barnes era Cannibal Corpse is. I
respect your feelings as a woman and a human. Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, well, that was one of the greatest troll songs ever. That was during the acoustic album called Picnic of Love. Yeah. I respect your gender.
Oh my god! I'm just reading the entire list of songs from It Just Gets Worse.
Yeah.
I can't read these out loud.
No, you can't.
ECE got AIDS from Freddie Mercury.
Oh,
I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. Sweatshops are cool.
The sweatshop. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. Did you see the haha one?
I never returned to Spurbank.
Spurbank one, yeah.
I gotta get off this. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's funny.
God
bless Seth Putnam. I hope he's in a better place now.
He's probably in hell, but at least he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I shouldn't be laughing at this.
Yeah, you live in a houseboat is a good one. You live in a houseboat. That's a good one. Oh man.
Well, I think that was actually way more entertaining than talking about Barack Obama.
Yeah, it's way more. Can you imagine if Seth Putnam was still alive? He'd make a song about Obama. I think he did make a song about Obama.
I'm sure he did.
Oh,
I'm sure
boy.
he did. I haven't laughed that hard in a very long time.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
It's precious the first time you discover AXCX, but
well, now I just want to listen to that entire album.
Yeah. You'll like it. I mean, it's inaudible, but it's funny because
maybe I should just read the lyrics.
Yeah. Prude, well, knowing your musical taste, I don't think you'd be a fan of grindcore. So
well, there's a first time for everything.
Making millions of selling Twitter handles with Groiper attached to every AXCX song title. You played in a softball team, Groiper.
Sold your dogs to a Chinese restaurant, Groiper.
Oh my god.
Sweatshops are cool, Groiper. There's the Sensitive Man song. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Dictators are cool, Groiper.
Yeah, Elroy Wegner, you're right. There is some neat far-right Japanese grindcore. That's the thing. Morrissey, Groiper.
I kind of the kind of person that I actually appreciate, not the like Groiper at the end of things. I like people that come up with like exclusively interesting handles to Twitter. So there's a guy who's got like a fat filter on a certain mid-century leader, and he's replying to people in like serious like context ways, like
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that the guy that he's replying to isn't going to reply to someone with like a fat Adolf PFP. But like, I appreciate the discourse to some extent, but like, come on,
That was like that one tweet I'll never like. It's like the most like one of the most memed on tweets where it's like, just went to the Latin. It's a picture of a Latin mass. Just went to Latin mass with like N-word Groiper or like racist N-word.
Oh boy.
Oh, can you imagine that? I'm
scrolling through the comments because I was laughing my ass off.
Prude
would not enjoy them. Probably not, but I'm going to enjoy laughing my ass off to the song titles.
Each song is only like a few, like some.
Yeah, it says like some of them are like 40 seconds long.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole album's going to be 10 minutes. Yeah, how long is the album in its entirety?
That's OG grindcore for you.
32 minutes, 15 seconds. That's perfectly fine with me, kids.
It's funny how like grindcore is like such a source of like baseness in terms of a lot of bands, but it was started off as like an explicitly like left-wing, I know like Napalm Death has like a lot of the anti-Austrian painter stuff, like Antifa stuff. But it's like they were taking like, it was more of like an aesthetic of like traditional punk. Like I don't think like who's the singer of Napalm Death, Barney? I don't think like he's got like an explicit political thing. It's just more of like that was the trend in punk circles at the time. But
he replied to the fat Austrian PFP guy. Look at that. I love that. I love it when former White House officials like respond to like Twitter anons like this.
You know, it's funny. Someone caught Carl's bad with having like replying to like, it was like one of these absurd names. It was funny. Barney Greenway. Yeah. Barney Greenway. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's got explicit politics. I mean, I know it's like Napalm Death is coded as left wing, but you know, that was the trend at the time. But, oh my God, you're still laughing at those song titles?
I went back to reading them.
Oh my God. Yeah, Early Carcass was pretty based. That is right. Where is it? Yeah, look at Early Carcass.
Deadbeat dads are cool. 43 seconds long. Ooh.
It's so fun. Yeah, exactly. Ladies,
if you didn't know their music, you'd expect them to play ska. Oh, well, I like ska.
Man. Yeah, Steve Albini, he it's funny how he's like such a like virulent libtard, but like the stuff he produced was like genuinely hair-raising. Some of the stuff that Steve Albini was involved with. Being so fake crack. Oh my God.
Oh Lord.
Oh, I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. Someone had to mention AXCX eventually. So
well, thank you. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time, and I appreciate whoever did in chat.
Should we read the article, or should?
Yeah, we need to go through it before Fishy Frenzy gives us more shit in chat.
Or should we just wait till next week?
No, what are we gonna do? In this early? No.
You're right. All right, so let's get to the part that everyone's dying for, which is the letters he wrote. But before we get to that,
letters from Birmingham jail, Groiper. I don't know.
Obama's letters to Yeager, where he admits he's a fan of a man, Groiper. Perhaps the most revealing thing about Yeager's account of her fight with Obama, though, is not the one reporter in America. So apparently she lived with Obama, but the gist of it is that a live-in girlfriend of Obama is not interviewed by the other official biographers of Obama. Doesn't make a lot of sense, right? David Garrow found. Oh, we're gonna say Prude?
No, you're good. I'm just clearing my throat. That's all.
Yeah. David Garrow found her near the end of Obama's presidency as Obama's living girlfriend, close friend during the 80s.
I saw that said closet friend. Sorry. Keep reading.
Oh, closet friend?
No, closest friend. I was just being a shit.
Oh.
How does he describe her? Scroll back up real quick. Scroll back up.
Here?
Yeah. So no, a little further.
Yeah, she's a head of Korean studies in a university of Chicago.
No. Scroll down a bit. Scroll. Where is it? Get to the live in. There we go. Is that no one reporter in America bothered to interview her before David Garrow found her near the end of Obama's presidency. As Obama's live-in girlfriend and closest friend during the 1980s, Yeager is the single most informed and credible source about the inner life of a young man whose election was accompanied by hopes of sweeping peaceful social change in America, a hope that ended with the election of Donald Trump, or perhaps midway through Obama's second term, as the president focused on the Iran deal while failing to address the concerns about rampant income inequality, racial inequality, and the growth of a monopoly tech complex that happened on his watch. Again, like, this is such a lefty way of like looking at how Obama failed.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many things that you could get him on, but like, he was, Obama, I think, is more remembered for his foreign policy than he is. I mean, he had Obamacare. If I had a son, he looked like Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown. I mean, every other victim that probably got what was coming to him. And then, like, nothing else really.
How can you say that? He was a gentle giant. Come on. I'm a gentle giant.
You are, because I don't see you like beating the shit out of people with their head cracking open against the sidewalk. You don't see you
strong-arming the Asian, the Korean store owner.
No, I don't.
One time a Korean store owner, when I was a kid, I went to buy like a chocolate bar and a bag of ice for a family reunion. He like tried to scam me $17 for a bat, and like I was just a little kid. I didn't know, I just pay and shut up. But then my old man went, he's like, "What do you mean $17?" And the Korean guy's like, No, I'm sorry. That was funny. Most of them are good, actually. I mean, you always gotta, don't send kids to go and get stuff, in my opinion. I think,
especially not today.
Exactly. But no, what I was gonna say is that it's funny how I addressed this in one of my returns to the below 20-minute standalone videos. Did you see this, Prude, about the Canadian article?
I haven't listened to it yet. It is on my watch later list.
Yeah. But no, it's funny because the one talking point near the end was that this Obama failure in terms of foreign policy. Now, David Garrow, being a lib, he talks about like how Obama failed to intervene when Russia took Crimea. It's like, well,
we kind of kick-started that.
Yeah, and Obama like started the training of 5 Ukrainian divisions a year from Maidan 2014 onwards. So it's like this lib way of trying to
like if there was a bipartisan way of doing if there was ever a bipartisan thing Obama was on board with, it was gonna be the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's funny, like it's okay, Obama, like the way the right wing criticizes his foreign policy failures is of course different than the way leftoids do. But it's just like to criticize Obama, like there's so many foreign policy blunders under Obama, including the extension of Iraq and Afghanistan, honestly. I mean, Libya. Well, that was really Hillary Clinton's failure, but Obama. It's just like there's so many, like, to talk about the Iran deal as a failure. I mean, I don't know. I think if anything, Obama, like that was one of the few good things about Obama was the Iran deal, was to say that maybe, I don't know, maybe
he did fail. He did fail in trying to oust Netanyahu.
Yes. Yeah. Well, where do you stand on that, Prude? Are you a base Likudnik? No, I'm kidding.
No.
America should have nothing to do with Israel.
Yeah, leave them to their own devices.
And if we could go back in time, Sir Mark Sykes would have conveniently met his end before ever getting close to the Sykes-Picot Treaty and the Balfour Declaration.
Man, this is why I love having you, Prude, man, because you know stuff that I don't about foreign policy and that history. Man, that's crazy. No, but that's what I mean. Like, it's people forget that Obama literally wanted to call a revolution. Bibi Netanyahu. Like, people forget about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that, because the libs that Obama would have wanted to put in would be worse. Maybe not worse, but like, I don't know. That's a complicated issue. I don't know where I stand on that one.
Implying that the blood of a million innocents isn't considered a success by these people. So true, Marbley.
Yeah.
So true.
So true. Yeah.
There should have been more. Should have been more.
Should have been 2 million.
If you are a billions must die, like kind of like, chud, why aren't you a Democrat?
Yeah. Well, there's some of them that are starting to come around. I think maybe that's why Richard Spencer, that's why he supports Democrats, maybe. No, not really. I don't know. We have to be a little evil, Prude. We gotta be a little evil. Come on.
Yeah, gotta be a little evil. Gotta be a little evil.
Yeah. Man, that's great. Yeah, exactly. If you the Democrat, the party of billions,
the party of billions must come in
and billions must die. The Democratic Party, the double B's, baby.
In the womb, out of the womb, doesn't matter.
Out of the womb doesn't matter. Just another billions gotta go.
Yeah.
And billions gotta come in.
It's like that Slayer song, Bitter Peace. That's what the Democrat Party is.
Bring him in and then kill them all. Before I slip this mortal coil, I just gotta bomb Iran. You don't understand.
Please, I need to see roasting flesh before I die.
Just a taste of his flesh.
Known as a moderate.
Known as a moderate. Well known. You know.
Man, I love that meme.
Yeah, I mean, it's making fun of like, you know, Senator Grassley and those things. Billion people's dollars. It's the same thing.
Sounds like a population Ponzi. Well, I think Raging Mandrill's correct. It is a population.
Sure is.
You don't.
We're gonna bring you in. The people that go in, they also pay for you. It's almost like Social Security is a giant Ponzi scheme too. I'm a sensible centrist. Billions have to come in, and billions have got to die. You know.
That's sensible centrism.
That's sensible centrism for like neo-lib liberal intervention foreign policy. Woo!
Woo! You mean to tell me Joe Biden was based all along? No, I'm kidding.
I don't think that's what he might be. I think he's speed running Camp of the Saints more than he is.
Turner Diaries.
Some spicy fan fiction.
Yeah, Richard Spencer is Joe Biden's foreign advisor now. So.
Oh man, can you believe it? IGN has finally confirmed that the Elder Scrolls 6 is in development.
Whoa!
Woo! Who cares?
Here we come. Yeah,
I know. 2011, here we come. If we had gotten married, and we had if we had married women and we had gotten kids, like by the time we were 18, like we just started a family, and say like by age 20, that we're old enough now to be parents and things like that, our children would be well on a way to adulthood if by the time that game comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I never played Elder Scrolls.
Skooma heads rise up. So true.
Do you like Elder Scrolls?
I like a lot of fantasy RPGs. I mean, like the Elder Scrolls was great with like Morrowind. I like Daggerfall.
Morrowind's your favorite. So
Morrowind is my favorite. Yeah, that's definitely true. Tez 6 will be gay. It will be absolutely gay. Yep. Just like Starfield is going to suck. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, people are talking about the Starfield. Is it going to?
It just dropped today, and I imagine it's going to suck.
Well, my best friend would probably played it already. Probably hooked up the Steam account to it.
I'm not holding my breath. It's probably going to suck.
Now, this is a totally stupid question, but is it cheaper to buy a game? It's not. Is it the same price like as a console as it is on Steam?
Yeah.
Why? It's a digital download.
Same price, kiddos. No refunds.
God, I hate the video game.
No refunds. No refunds.
Terrible. The video game industry is evil, in my opinion.
Yeah.
More ways than one. I mean,
the correct answer is no. The video games have to stop, guys.
Yeah. That's never going to happen.
One day. If we're lucky, the industry will have a bubble like it did in the 80s, and everyone will realize, man, maybe we can't hire all these like fat he, him, she, they women, and maybe we can make good shit again. But this isn't going to happen.
That's like in the 80s, the conspiracy about the ET landfills.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was real.
It was real. They have a little like weird documentary about it.
Yeah, they made more games than the actual consoles. What was it, the NES or was it I'm
not too sure.
I forget which console it was. What console was the ET game in the 80s, guys?
The Atari 2600, right?
May have been the Atari. Yeah.
ET game landfill. Yeah, the Atari video game burial. Unsold game cartridges. Yeah, for the RT. Yeah, 2600. Before 2014, the goods buried were rumored to be unsold copies of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the largest commercial video game failures of all time.
What a waste.
What a waste.
The game sucked too, apparently.
Well, it was like made in like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. Just to capitalize on the film. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what were they thinking? They were capitalism. That's what they were. I know I sound like a leftoid, but capitalism. That's what they were thinking. If they sold a shitty game because of the movie, I mean, how many? Like realistically, how many good movie video games are there? I mean, there's a few. I mean, there's a lot, but like,
I mean, there's a few good Lord of the Rings games. That's more. I mean, it's based on a book, based off the movies.
I guess there's a good Star Wars game.
There's a few good Star Wars games.
Yeah,
but I don't think you've got very good movie to video game adaptations.
No.
6 weeks because ET came out in October. Damn. Well, that's a little different. Then yeah, Lego Indiana Jones. There you go.
Yeah.
But
some of the Simpsons games were good.
They have like that one that's like baby's first Grand Theft Auto game or whatever.
Oh yeah. Was GoldenEye from a movie?
GoldenEye is based off James Bond.
Oh, James Bond, yeah. Because when I was younger, I always like heard people playing GoldenEye, but like I didn't connect.
I did not grow up with it in '64, so. Oh yeah. I think Terminator Resistance is the canon ending to the series in my mind. Well, thank you, Scribe. I like Scribe. I also love his profile picture.
Yeah. I like that profile picture better than when he had the guy from Avatar 2.
Yeah, you should stick to the Apostolias. Don't do the no.
Yeah.
What does the N and N64 stand for? Nintendo.
Always
get your mind out of the Armada forums, Fishy.
Well, we have a gamer girl in our chat.
How could I forget GoldenEye? It's so true.
Yeah.
All right, but what is Jaeger talking about here?
All right, so we finally enough nonsense. We talked about AXCX and video games. Only on the digital archipelago can you have this illustrious pantheon.
I feel like the laughter from earlier made up for the black pilling of the first 2 hours.
Oh, definitely, 100%. Yeah. Oh my god. So Jaeger is probably the single most informed and credible source about the inner life of a young man whose election was accompanied by hopes of sweeping peaceful social change in America. Wow, there was social change in America, but a hope that ended with the election of Donald Trump. Yeah, we read all that part. So
the best part of Obama's presidency was the end of it.
Yeah, 100%. I had a point about this, about I was thinking about something, but it slipped my mind. But yeah, so the Iran deal thing. Yes, the Iran deal thing. But also I think like this whole I remember, I think it was Van Jones when he was on or it may have been that Roland Martin guy. That it was on CNN, and they said something like, basically the first steps of the first 100 days of Trump's presidency is to like wholesale erase Obama's legacy and how terrible it was. It's like, yeah, people kind of elected Donald Trump to do that.
Again, it's why the point that Van Jones made, like, this was a white lash. I'm like, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There's some buyer's remorse. One big ass mistake, America. Yeah. No, but there was this moment where they were like and the funny thing is that Obama ruled by the executive order pen more than anybody else. I've got my pen and my phone.
I'm a pen and my phone. Yeah. So no, but it's funny because Trump, like, to criticize Trump by basically stroking the pen to erase Obama's legacy, that's what the MAGA pads. That's what they wanted.
You mean my big ass Sharpie marker, Donald J. Trump? The entire legacy in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, first 2 weeks gone. That was it. Yeah.
I mean, the same thing with Trump's legacy. Trump's legacy is
with Biden. Yeah. Yeah.
All those executive orders gone. This is why you need to pass shit through. Congress.
No, but that's what I mean. Like Obama, again, the one. I mean, sorry, with Trump, the one failure would be the lack of draining the swamp. But as we let's read on actually, because this is what this article inspired that thought about how Biden, all of it's just Trump, all of it's Obama people everywhere, and how nobody questions it. We couldn't locate Jagger or know where she was. Defies belief. It seems more likely the character of Obama's fashions in dreams had been defied by Obama as being beyond the reach of normal reportable scrutiny. Indeed, Garrows' biography of Obama's early years is filled with such corrections of the historical record that Obama more or less invented himself. Based on years of careful recorded searching and patient interviews, Rising Star highlights a remarkable lack of curiosity on the part of mainstream reporters and institutions about a man who almost instantaneously was treated less like a politician and more like an idol of internal elite cult. So there was this one part later on in the interview where Garrows says that Obama is a fictional character that is written by Barack Obama, the first postmodern president. That he is the author. And for example, there's one, and like I hate this guy. I remember Ned Alls used to make fun of him. Who's the guy with the Pod Save America podcast that worked for Obama?
Isn't that like David Axelrod?
No. Ben Rhodes. I think it was Ben Rhodes.
John Favreau was also on that.
Yeah, and John Favreau. But Ben Rhodes, like the guy with the side profile.
Wasn't he? I gotta look him up real quick.
Was it Pod?
Yeah,
Save
former
America?
deputy national security advisor, and he also has a brother in. Doesn't he have like a brother in CNN?
Yeah.
No, David Rhodes.
Yeah. But Ben Rhodes, he would like make this display when Garrow was in the White House interviewing Obama. He's like, look, he wrote all his speeches. And Garrow was like, I know that Obama has like 9 speechwriters, but the point being is that like all
John Favreau being one of them.
Yeah, John Favreau was one of them. Yeah. But the point being is that like all of the people around Obama, it was like known that you had to portray the character that Obama
as this like genius
authority.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Was there always presidential speechwriters? Is that just a tradition, or is there like
it's a more modern context. There are plenty of presidents that wrote their own speeches, but I mean
even Teddy Roosevelt wrote his own speeches.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I know like Jefferson, Washington, I think Andrew Jackson wrote his own speeches. Lincoln wrote his own speeches. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But I mean, like a lot more speechwriters, they really started under LBJ.
Yeah.
Actually, it goes back even earlier because it started a lot with who was it? What's his name? No, I had Theodore Sorensen. That was JFK's guy, and he told them listen, you're going to make me sound like Abraham Lincoln, and if you don't, I'm going to kill you. But yeah. Our current speechwriter, I just looked it up, is an Indian guy named Vinay Reddy.
Whoa.
He's Joe Biden's speechwriter. And Stephen Miller was Donald Trump's speechwriter. So based Stephen Miller doing the good work for us. But John Favreau and Cody Keenan were some of his speechwriters.
Why do the libs hate Stephen Miller so much? Is it just because he's like an honest right winger, or is it?
I think so. I think it is because he's just an honest right winger.
Yeah, probably. They gave Obama a Nobel Prize, so no surprise the media would wax poetically about his intellectual. There was that great tweet. I believe it was from.
You got a Nobel Prize for being a black man elected into the White House. Well, you didn't do anything.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. There was a great tweet by Filthy Armenian of like Obama was seen as like the great orator or whatever, like the man that like his words could heal America. But do you remember like a single line that Obama said without like it being cutting or brutal, like an actual poetic line besides hope and change? Like, can you remember anything besides like guns and religion, hope and change? We have to pass the bill to read the bill. Like, you can't remember his speeches.
Well, that one was from Nancy Pelosi. They gotta pass the bill to see what's in it.
Oh, that wasn't even Obama? Oh my God.
No, that was Nancy.
Yeah. What year did healthcare pass? 2012.
2011.
2011.
I'm pretty 2010. 2010 is when
2010.
Obamacare passed. Affordable Health Care Act of 2010.
God.
But yeah, feeling old yet, kids? You
feeling old yet? Yeah, the 30-year-old boomer.
Yeah, was mostly ignored. As a result, the most scandalous and perhaps revelatory passages, such as Obama's long letter to another girlfriend about his fantasies of having sex with men, read today to people who are more familiar with the Obama myth and the historical record, like partisan bigotry. But David Garrows is hardly a hack whose work cannot be dismissed on partisan grounds. He is the country's most credible and celebrated civil rights historians about Martin Luther King. But yeah, in part, Garrows' failure to gain a hearing for his revision of the Obama myth lay in his timing. Rising Star felt like old news the moment it was published in May of 2017, as whatever insights the book contained were overtaken by the fury and chaos surrounding the beginning of Donald Trump's presidency. As Trump's incendiary Carnival Barker Act took center stage, it was hard, even for Republicans, to not miss the contrast with Obama's cerebral mannerisms and sedate family life. The idea that Obama was simply another self-obsessed political knife fighter who played fast and loose with the truth did not resonate. In any case, Obama was now a footnote to a history, a reminder of kinder, gentler times that the country seemed unlikely to see. The country was not kinder and gentler when he was in office. Sorry, kids.
Well, there was one thing that Garrows said that I do have to applaud him on. He said that in some ways, Obama is just as much just as insecure and petty and knife fighty as Donald Trump, but in a different way that doesn't code with the American people the way that, because like you gotta realize like Obama and Trump, they both have their petty narcissisms, but Trump being like a master poster, like perfected posting before any millennial, I mean, it codes with the American people as way more like explicit and on steroids than like Obama's petty narcissism and like his sort of cattiness and his behind the scenes politicking. So I do applaud David Garrow for saying that.
Yeah.
Yet
in a catty gay way.
Catty gay, yeah. Yet there was also evidence to suggest that the idea Obama was no longer concerned with power or involved with power was itself a part of a new set of myth being woven by and around the ex-president.
Being woven by. No, that's a good point. Because I mean, like Obama has this sort of mythology that, he never got involved. He's stayed quiet when he hasn't, So,
what president undermines the incoming president the way that Obama did with Trump and snubbed him and undermined him every step of the way? Not even Trump did it that much to Joe Biden. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that.
They tried.
He tried, yeah. No, but the way that Obama, like, shouldered... Yeah, no problem.
No, keep talking.
No, but the way that Obama, like, treated Trump was, like, was abominable. And it's, like, it was a point of saying that Obama is the Washington person. He is the face of Washington. And Trump is an outsider that can never be tolerated by the Washington machine. That in fact, Obama, the way that they operated during the Trump years is basically Obama run number 3 before, Joe Biden made it explicit that Joe Biden is like, the third term of Obama. Maybe 4th next year, who knows? God forbid, but let's face it, Obama term number 4 is likely. So yeah. Jay Blundellham has a question.
No, he's behind. I told him we did get to it.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was about Africa.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yet there was also evidence to suggest that the Obamas never left town. Instead, they bought a large brick mansion, center of Washington's Kalorama neighborhood, violating a norm governing. See, there you go. Violating a norm governing the transfer of presidential power, which has been breached only once in post-Civil War American history of Woodrow Wilson. Wow, Woodrow Wilson. In the Obama case, the reason was staying was because the daughter Sasha, the stepdaughter, stepdaughter wanted to finish high school with her class.
We're feeding just as much into these presidential mythologies. Look at us go.
Yeah, it's true.
Then it was. I like this though. The Obamas served as both the symbolic and practical heads of the Democratic Party shadow government. Shadow government. Look at that. Me and my shadow government. Look at that.
In my shadow, shedding skin. That resisted.
Sure that Trump can't win.
Well, I know. Well, Maynard J. Keenan, he probably does agree with that. He had this like schizo rant about Trump. But anyways, resist Trump, another phenomenon that defied prior norms. Yeah, exactly. Trump is the state of exception, right? So the fact that these were not normal times could be adjudicated by even a passing glance at the first passage of the pages of the country's daily newspapers, which were filled with claims the 2016 election had been stolen by Russia, that Trump was a Russian agent. Given the stakes, it seems churlish to object to Obama's quiet family life in Colorama, or to report on the coming of goings of Democrat Party operatives and office seekers from their mansion, or to the swift substitute of Obama as party leader for Hillary Clinton, who, after all, was the person he had supported to be cheated out of, supposedly been cheated out of the presidency. Why even mention the strangeness of the overall setup, which surely paled next to the raw menace of Donald Trump, who lurched from one crisis to the next while lashing out at the enemies and probably selling out the country to Vladimir Putin. Oh my God, the Mueller report.
Remember Mueller, she wrote, and all those like shit movie wine mom podcasts.
Oh God, do you remember that one woman that had the that destroyed her own child in the womb, that had a podcast where she pretended to be was it Mueller, she wrote? Yeah, that was the podcast. Yeah. Whatever. What's her name?
I don't know. I'm gonna go look that up real quick.
And look it up. Yeah, closing Gitmo. Did she close Gitmo? I mean, did he close? He didn't close Gitmo.
Gitmo's still open. Allison Gill.
Ugh. Don't look up her photo, by the way.
Yeah, it's bad.
She claims she was. Never mind. I'm not going to go over it for you.
So there's a thread on it. It's not worth your time here.
No. Didn't one of her threads? Yeah, her threads blew up about Trump or some crap about.
She had a whole podcast about that.
Yeah. I'm glad that she got doxxed and fired. Finally, a lib gets doxxed and fired for what she says on the internet. Wow. In normal country, the exhaustive reporting issued in November 2019 by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, which uncovered no evidence of the 2016 election but decided by the Russian actions, led to Trump was a Russian agent, might have been a cure for the Obamas to go home, a cue for Obama to Hawaii or Martha's Vineyard, but nope. Just as Trump had long insisted, the moment of crisis was over. While the attention,
I do have to appreciate the author of this article taking the due diligence to actually read the Mueller report, being like, "No, this wasn't it."
Yeah,
So
apparently, Fishy Frenzy looked up the photo of this Gill woman. So,
yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah. I have to refresh myself. Mueller, she wrote. It's not a, yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Like what? Allison Gill. Yeah, she's pretty ugly looking. See, she's not Allison Pill. That's the real problem.
Oh God. Oh, we're not going to put this on screen.
No.
But, speaking of women, apparently Jackson Hinkle's girlfriend was Miss Russia 2022. So that explains a lot. What's her name? Linikova?
I don't know, Gio. Audience marries a Miss Russian 2020 something, and now all of a sudden is like a big ass anti-imperial third worldist. Does that sound like a little bit of a honey trap pot to you? Does that sound like an op? Does that sound like someone wants to keep getting his little thing wet just to make sure that he can keep it going?
No, Prude. Listen, Prude, I'm a Vatnik. That means that the Kremlin is only
yeah, Gio, you could have gotten some nice, Russian Bolshoi ballerina to keep up your posting.
I'm very happy with my nerdy Irish girl. So Prude, are you kidding me? How dare you doubt the Kremlin? They have the purest intentions in the world. How dare you, Prude? I listen. I'm going to quit the show over. No, I already quit. I already quit another podcast over this.
You're gonna quit another podcast over the war in Ukraine. This is abominable. And even Spencer had a Russian wife. That's true.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that the Kremlin would basically set up an American influencer with a hot young Russian woman for takes? That's impossible, Prude. I've never heard of that before.
Oh yeah, you've never heard of that before.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
My world is blown.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Jackson Hinkle wasn't the first.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, I'm not that much of a Russian shill, At the end of the day, like, when you read my book next year, I have a chapter where I actually come down pretty hard on the aesthetic version of this, like, third worldism thing. So, if I simp for Putin, will he give me a Russian GF? Maybe.
I don't know. Like, you could be the next Walter Duranty, kids. You really could be.
Did the Soviet Union send hot Russian women to dual?
I don't know. I wonder if Walter Duranty a homosexual. That would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Walter Duranty.
We didn't even get. That reminds me, we didn't even get to the woke all distance debate with Dave. But maybe I don't know.
It was bad. It was
bad.
It's not worth your time, kids.
Yeah.
Not worth your times.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin sending hot Russian women to incels.
See, look, when they say, Eastern European women, hot singles in your area, it's just a fed up.
Yeah.
It's just Russian election interference.
Exactly. They want you to vote for Donald Trump.
They really want you to like support the war. They want you to vote Democrat. You got to keep the war going.
Yeah.
And so you got to vote for.
Oh God, you got to vote to keep the war going. Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that the Ukrainians have sent hot. Like, it's funny because both the Russians and the Ukrainians, their psyop is because they know they have like a large pool of hot, poor young women. It's like, just send them over to influence people. It's like, that's it. Just send Russian women over, send Ukrainian women over. Listen, yeah, that's how it works.
Like, I joked about this on a podcast that is now dead. The old Fed post. I said you could track the war, how it's going by like how many.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Eastern European, Ukrainian like cam girls move over to the country or where they're streaming. They can measure the internet activity. You would call it the Comdex. It'd be a great time to understand how bad things have gotten.
That's kind of like schizofrequency. Lucas, he's got the mid scale. I think that's what's it called, the mid scale. Yeah. He had a whole, like, apparently him and Verse do a podcast. Check out the Lucas and Verse podcast. They had a whole episode on the mid scale. But Marvelly, how many Russian GFs would they send if I keep pretending not to understand the Ukrainian war indefinitely?
As many. Never mind. I can't answer. I can't answer
that one.
I can't answer that honestly because I was going to reply with one of those song titles.
Oh my God! That was no Russian ballerina GF. I don't know. Do you want a Russian GF? I mean, a lot of those women are pretty brutal. I mean, like they look amazing, but like in terms of like they'll eat you alive. Okay, like listen. A very wise man who I pray for his safety, who's in a Ukrainian prison right now, a very wise man said that if you're an incel in the West, you probably don't want an Eastern European woman. Okay, they're gonna destroy you. They're gonna mentally. Not all Eastern European women. Listen, they're very beautiful. Ukrainian women Russian women. No, actually, I think Serbian women are kind of cool. But listen, if you're a young, sensitive young man that doesn't have a lot of experience with women, you probably don't want one. Okay, I'm just saying.
This is why he is with an Irish woman that knows how to
Yes.
deal with inexperience and beatings.
Oh my god.
I know she listens, so I'm just having a fun time here.
No, it's funny. She actually puts me in my place pretty good. So it's like,
Oh man, True Cell gets longhouse. Many such cases, you hate to see it.
Oh my god, Giorgiani and Uber Boy are debating right now, Philip.
I'm okay.
It's okay.
We can live without it.
We love our Uber Boyle folks. I hope Uber Boyle destroys him. But anyways, no, it's funny about woke all distance. One thing I will say before we get back to the article is that I can't, like, okay, I don't like woke all distance. I think everything he says is wrong, but I don't know. I can't hate him compared to James Lindsay. Like, he's not an evil guy, woke all distance. It's just like James Lindsay is just another level of contemptible. But
no, they're both equally contemptible, and I don't like either of them.
No, but I mean,
nope,
just seems like a harmless guy.
Nope.
Maybe I'm too nice, Prude.
After the last 4 hours and 20 minutes of that BS yesterday, nope, I cannot say that man is not as contemptible as James Lindsay. If anything, he is, if not more.
But he's meeker than James Lindsay.
Yeah, because he looks like a female to male trans person, but that doesn't mean that he isn't contemptible.
Oh,
I stand by that. I don't care.
I was trying to be nice.
The debate was not interesting, and it was more or less and I mean, even the comment section kind of turned it. And this Ben Boyce is not like a far right guy, but it was just no, it was more or less someone that operated on a classical, or not even classical, just a shit lib presupposition that just doesn't like CRT or wokeness or trans people. And I get that. Fine. I understand. But at the end of the day, when you are incapable of acknowledging, look, everybody makes mistakes.
No, look at this one by Vingo.
Yeah, I know. I can't stand that either. Yeah. The oral fixation between a sandwich and vaping and grabbing for musical instruments, acknowledge, have the respect to not be touching a million things while talking with someone on the air.
Yeah.
No, this was not an old stream. This happened last night. And it was 4 hours and 20 minutes of inane Dave trying to explain his position and explain what no enemies to the right means, meaning I can criticize those to the right of me, but I'm not going to go out of my way and stab them.
Display of it.
I'm not going to make it even if I make it a display of it, I'm not going to go out of my way to be like, no, I'm going to stab that guy in the back. For instance, I don't like Pedro Gonzalez on a lot of issues, but I'm never going to do what the Trump camp did to him and leak text messages and things like that. That is abominable, and I will never do that to people, even if they hate me. Because Dave has the patience of a saint, Marbly. That's why. And so, I mean, so when you're going,
reason, there is some destructive people,
within reason. If you're a good actor or a good faith actor, it seems to be the case.
Yeah. Bandana,
smoking a hookah. It's just not a good time.
Look at this. Is he 18 years old? No. Woke Distance is a 40-something-year-old man. Who pretends
Wokel is not a guy that you want to. He's not 18. He's older, but it's just if you acknowledge things like the Great Replacement or the vindictive nature that people have towards replacing the European population of the United States, he calls you a fervent a neo-Nazi, but if you acknowledge the fact that no, these people are actually celebrating that happening, you're just a nutty conspiracy theorist. But he says that he would acknowledge these concerns and complaints if there was actual threat of genocide, but that's not good enough.
That's one thing that really annoyed me, is that I know not everyone can keep up with the deep lore, but he kept saying that this is the neo-reactionary position. There was
and then he would say no. What was worse is that he would translate, or he would treat the neo-reactionaries and white nationalists as the same people.
No, that's what I was saying.
They were interchangeable words for him.
No, but there was H.B. Diesbergs in New Reaction that were white nationalists, but a lot of them, they explicitly avoided race, Moldbug especially. You know, I mean, like it's a lot of NRX, they sort of treated race as a secondary thing. And people forget this because now they assume that like woke all like equating NRX with like the alt-right or whatever, like those people, they didn't like each other. You know, like Spencer famously did not like Moldbug. So yeah, I mean, that's what really annoyed me. But then I noticed like during the 3-hour mark, Dave was like so exhausted. He's like, yeah, this is not
like there was no point at a certain point.
No point. Yeah.
And I mean, like he's done this before, whether it's like with Matt McManus, who I would argue is just as bad, if not worse, than how that debate discussion.
He's worse because more IQ points than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just like.
I wouldn't go that far, Chris Alton, but yeah, maybe more.
I think trying to apply a Silicon Valley mindset to problems that are far more civilizational probably isn't going to work out in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely fun to see things go to shit. I mean, it was not worth your time.
No.
Not worth your time.
Yeah, I think I watched about 2 hours of it, and I'm like, I can't do this.
I got about an hour and a half. It
was a waste of time.
On 2x speed, and I'm done.
But was it really the fault of Benjamin Boyce or Dave or even Wokal? I don't know. It's just like if anything, I think it could have been more structured, and they could have like not wasted time on like just arguing stupid points. Like, in a debate and on BTR, this would always happen. Not because of me, because of the other guy, but maybe me too. But like when a debate gets into stupid hypotheticals,
yeah,
it's like that's when you know it's over. It's like move on. But I think like Dave just got frustrated, and so he's just like, you know what? Yeah, whatever. Like it's yeah. I mean, Dave, he's not like a fighter. He's not like a blood sports guy, even though he's been through a lot of those.
He's debated Christie Winners, ContraPoints, Fausch, Matt McManus, and now this guy. I mean, like
Ben Burgess
and Ben. And he was on another stream like years ago, back when he was kind of new to the game, and I think he was debating like atheism, and his like tag team debate partner was Nick Fuentes. So like. Like he's been around for a while.
Oh my god, that's brutal! Holy crap, that's incredible. That's when Nick Fuentes used to go on a lot of different stuff. Not the big stuff, but man, that's ancient history. Nobody remembers that one. Oh my god. I mean, maybe we shouldn't mention it because then Dave. Wow.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean,
it's fine. Yeah, you got to live by what you. Yeah. By the way, now that we're getting that out, I have no affiliation with a lot of these. I've never done anything with Radex or anything. I don't even think Richard Spencer knows who I am. Because
I would like to keep it that way for myself personally.
Yeah, me too.
The less I associate with him, the better, and I like to keep it that way.
I've only done stuff with Tyler, and that's because Tyler had a fall. He left Radex. He had a falling out with Spencer. So
yeah.
No, I've never done anything with Radex, so yeah.
Same. I don't plan on doing that either.
I've never done anything with countercurrents. I mean, would I be open to do? I mean, I disagree fundamentally with a lot of what Greg Johnson puts out there, but I mean, I gotta acknowledge that countercurrents, they have published a lot of quality stuff over the years. I can't fault that.
They have really great culture writings. That's fantastic.
I wouldn't be opposed. I mean, I don't think some of those guys don't like me though. I don't know. I mean, if they wanted to interview with me, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't know. There you go. We can have respectful disagreements. I can respectfully disagree with Greg Johnson on the Ukraine situation, but I can't don't go out of your way to completely hate someone. There you go. But Richard Spencer, I don't know. That's kind of
no thanks.
No thanks. Yeah.
No thanks.
No thanks. But anyways, let's move on. So, oh my god, it's almost 3 hours. But while the attention of Republicans in Washington turned to the question of the FBI, more carefully observe. So let's skip all the Russiagate stuff. We all know this. sheltered basement from Obama, the gaffer, and yet President Biden continued to fall off bicycles, misremember basic names and facts, and mix long and incredibly weird passages of Dada-esque nonsense with autobiographical whoppers. The little black kids would come and touch my blonde hair and my legs. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That was pretty creepy. White House staff top to bottom McCord Obama loyalists. While Obama turned up at the White House, staffers and the press crowded around him, leaving President Biden talking to the drapes, which is now a metaphor, but a real thing that happened. Obama might enjoy serving as third-term president in all but name. Running the government from his iPhone was a thought expressed in public by Obama himself. But before and after he left office, quote, I used to say, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in or in front of man or front woman, that he let it throw in front woman, by the way. Yeah. He had an earpiece in. And it was just in my basement, in my sweats, looking through the stuff. Oh my God. I could sort of deliver lines with someone was doing all the talking in ceremony. He told Stephen Colbert in 2015, I'd be fine with that because I found the work fascinating. Wow. Even with all these clues, the Washington press corps, fresh off the years of broadcasting fantasies about secret communication links between Trump Tower and the Kremlin, seemed unable to imagine, let alone report on Obama's first role as government. Oh. Instead, every few months, sanitized reports appeared on some aspect of the ex-president's outside public advocacy, presented within limits that are closely being set by Obama's political operatives, which conveniently allied the problems that are inherent in having a person with no constitutional role or congressional oversight take an active role in executive decision-making. Near the end of June, for example, Politico ran a long article noting Biden's cognitive decline. With the coy headline, is Obama ready to reassert himself? Wow.
I mean, like, what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
what are you going to do?
Because, like, the FU and Q is Obama. That would actually be funny. That'd be funny as hell.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That would be amazing. Just to, like, own the MAGA chuds. Well, you've heard it here, folks.
You know, you heard it here, folks. Q is a black man.
Could be.
You know, but, like, Obama still plays a huge role in I mean, it's his camp, really, of, like, foreign policy officials and people he appointed. His judiciary does a lot of work. I mean, like, those judicial appointments are lifetime appointments. So it's who knows, man? Like, I do find it funny that in this respect, Obama is still a political actor, and there's this, like, mythology that no, he's not, and that he's sort of quietly put himself away. Like, no, he still does all sorts of campaigns. I mean, it's really sad when they brought him out in the midterms and during the 2020 election. Like, here's former President Barack Obama, and, like, no one really cared.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if the entire mythological... Yeah, and the Obamas have a huge share in Netflix, too. They have a documentary on, like, industrialization.
Oh, my God.
So it's like... I mean, like, they're still there, you know? Like, it's...
It's true.
It's weird.
Let's read one more bit, then we could get to Super Chats. Maybe we could, because it's been 3 hours almost, and my voice is giving out. Indeed, in previous weeks, Obama continued his role as central advocate for government censorship of the internet while launching a new campaign against... Oh, I remember when Obama did that about the internet. Against gun ownership, claiming it is historically linked to racism. That's literally the Michael Moore.
Yeah, that's the Bowling for Columbine take.
Animation. Yeah.
Well, we're so afraid about all these black people. We got to own... I mean, there's a nugget of truth into that, because, like, the slave revolts and what happened in Haiti is just like, yeah, they're gonna kill your baby. Like, so yeah, you better be armed. But I mean, no, gun ownership was always there since the beginning, because even prior to the Second Amendment, like, you and your personal firearm is what you would carry with you if you were called to do that, serve in the state militia.
Yep. And well, that's the thing. Like, then Obama made like it's funny because first term Obama pretty much had to kayfabe, and this is what Garrows, to being a lib, to point out, like, Obama's, like, the racial element of Obama's thinking. The fact that, like, Obama embraced a lot of, like, black radicalism, which I think I tweeted at the time when this article came out, that, the real story, like, okay, we make fun of the fact that, he may be in the closet, blah, blah, blah. But the extent of his political leanings and, like, the ways he was influenced by, like, that probably is the real story. But the first term Obama had to be, like, the neoliberal, like, yeah, I'm totally down with racial equality, like, typical, like, boomer neolib type of stuff.
Yeah,
like, hello, fellow kids. But the second term was when Obama's, like, cantankerousness came out, and he was, like, really, like, very much like, I have utter contempt for, like, a huge portion of America. And yeah. Wait, what's oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brilham. Sorry.
Benjamin. If yeah, anytime he wasn't on a teleprompter, he would lose his ability to speak. Like, that was the thing about the Obama thing, is that people were so desperate for the well-spoken, like, black president, like what Joe Biden had famously said, he's a well-spoken black guy. Like, you don't see that very often. And, like, he would lose himself without that self-confidence, because, like, in a great success to Barack Obama's, like, mirage, like, everyone talks about JFK's, like, Camelot imagery,
Yeah.
But you could not master the media, just suck off that was the Obama's incestuous relationship to the media, because Ben Rhodes,
2000,
Daniel Rhodes on CNN and now Sky News, like, there was this huge just incestuous relationship with the press. So, like, you can maintain this image of a, like, smart, well in control, articulate liberal black man that was going to lead us to progress, and instead you got more interventionism, a drone war, mass surveillance programs that he helped expand under Bush and the Patriot Act.
Yeah, look at what Philip Daniels.
Yeah, Philip Daniels is absolutely correct. Like, the anti-war movement just died under there. Like, it just
turned them into interventionist woke neoliberals.
Yeah. So now it's basically just like the legacy of Obama is, like, gay pride flags, like, streaming off like a drone that's about to strike some random village in, like, Mali or whatever. Like, that's Obama's legacy.
Yeah.
And so, no one knows anything about Barack Obama, because Barack Obama has been the most media manicured president in the history of the United States. So no one knows anything about him. So why is it that, like, almost 10 years after he, like, for almost 8 years now after he got out of the White House, that we're like, holy shit, this guy was kind of like a postmodern homosexual, and no one cares. That's just what kills me about this story. And I said it last week, it's like, this feels like such a blip. Everyone, this perfectly media, presented president. Oh yeah, by the way, he's a homosexual, and the running gag is that his wife is actually a trans person, that those kids aren't his. And it's like, yeah, I can believe that. Like, we're not grounded in anything anymore. We're so deracinated.
Yeah, this isn't like the days of to mention, I like Ike. Can you imagine, like, this type of rhetoric? Like, first of all, unimaginable during something like Eisenhower. Unimaginable even during Bush 2. Like, this type of, like you were saying, this type of absurdity that we're living through, the clown world. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Prud. I don't know if I booked that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's just that's it, right? Like, that, who cares? Like, it's very weird. Like, this is something I should care about. And in the same way, I should care about, like, other parts of our history. Like, I know it's kind of funny that everyone's sort of memeing on the, like, oh, Kanye West was getting a blowjob from some actress or whatever. And it's like, weren't we just, like, 8 months ago having, like, a faction of people saying he could be the next president or whatever? And, like, that got swept under the rug. Like, the Obama 2008, like, we're going to get elected because the economy was great. And the economy was still shit in 2012 when he got reelected. And there's some shady shit that went on in Ohio as well. And like all of this sort of plays out to be in a world where no one cares. Nobody cares. And if anyone does care, you know, if Joshua Beebe's right, like Dinesh D'Souza was talking about this or whatever, then, you know, hey, no one cares. Like, this was not the important thing that mattered. And it's strange because it's like, you would really think having a president with tangible birther backgrounds where no one really knows the truth about him, who's still playing a very large active role in DC politics, happens to be a homosexual that happened to have a guy like recently die in like Martha's Vineyard or whatever. No one cares. That feels really
to just
strange.
Choose the affectation of being a, you know, African American in America. Like
it just feels so weird.
Everything about him is fake. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Like
it just feels really weird.
The summer playlist.
Yeah, the summer playlist. Like, it all feels just gay, you know. Like, it all feels like this is all manufactured. Like, I know it's like it's like the Lex Friedman reading list, you know. Like, I don't think you actually listen to these songs. Like, I don't think you actually read those books.
Do you think he ever listened to AXCX or no?
No.
Barack Obama. So not only does he have a summer playlist, he has a summer reading list. So the Obama reading list, and Napolitano. Hello, beautiful. Oh my God. It's all like woke
Obama's
nonsense.
not even ADOS. Yeah, he doesn't have the. He's not autistic.
What Napoleon could not do, a novel from a family in Ghana. Burnham Wood, a novel. Eleanor Catton. Small Miracles by Dennis Lahan. Poverty by America.
All right, I'm ready to flip the desk over. Let's Faking Gay. Just get to the
Poverty by America. Matthew Desmond. By the Pulitzer Prize-winning book Evicted, returns with an investigation into poverty in America.
Yeah, biscuits and coffee. Reading Dune in 1 week. Yeah, pull another one.
Yeah.
Oh, Ados, a descendant of slaves. Yeah, he's not. Well, that was Steve Saylor's point about Tariq Nasheed going off about foundational Black Americans. It's like, our only Black president wasn't even FBA, and I'm like, he should have ran with, like, Saylor was right. Like, if he wanted to do anything with it, he should have ran the FBA thing in 2008. But he was too busy being like a male pickup artist for Blacks in 2008, and he's taken this weird like Black nationalist turn. And so
look at Mike Oxlong.
I know. Get to him. Get to him.
King, A Life by Jonathan Eig.
Some of these super chats are great.
Yeah, all the
although
sinners...
with Templars, I don't want to know what that one means.
So you don't think Obama reads all of these books on the Obama?
I don't think so. In the same way,
Yeah, probably. Well, wait. I'm curious now. Okay, Obama summer playlist. Obama on Spotify. What's the heaviest song here? You'd figure probably some like boomer rock. Vampiros. Oh man, this is terrible. This is cool. This is all cool. Janet Jackson, Jorja Smith, Toots and Maytals, Bob Dylan, Ella Fitzgerald, Pearl Jam. That's the heaviest one. Just Breathe by Pearl Jam. Oh, he's got The World Is Yours by Nas. I actually like that song, The World Is Yours by Nas. Joe Cocker. He's got Joe Cocker on there. Oh, Blue and Green by Miles Davis. I can't hate on all of this. Oh my God, Obama. What are you doing, bro? Jack White. Oh, I'm shaken by Jack White. I wonder if Obama 1 year he'll just he'll trip people up by putting something heavy in there. Like he'll just confuse people by putting I don't know, he'll put an AXCX song in there.
God bless.
Yeah, I doubt. Well, that's never gonna happen. Anyways, whoa, we got a lot of super chats here. And remember, if you don't want to send YouTube money, you can. My PayPal is also in the description. So let me check if I have a PayPal. Oh my god, I don't have any PayPals. All right, $10 by our good friend Mike of Paul. Once again, I cannot stay long. The ghetto college needs more repairs. Yeah, he's doing a bunch of repairs in the local ghetto college. Looking forward to hearing your takes on the Wokal versus Dave stream. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get to a lot of them.
Never clenched my teeth harder, Hitsuke.
Never. Yeah, exactly. I actually wasted time last night listening to it. I've never clenched my teeth harder, Hitsuka. Oh my god. Oh, thank you so much, our good friend, our good patron, Michael Paul. Michael Paul. Maybe if I have time, I'm going to be away all weekend. So if I have time to edit, I might release the first Mike of Paul content minded episode, but we'll see. Zai Hong Y for $4.99. Long week. Cannot stop thinking about defenestrating opposing counsel. Friggin' female attorneys. Fly baby girl fly. Our good friend's a lawyer, so he's
well, I'm glad our lawyers are having,
a Fed posty time.
Yeah. Can't Fed post when the stenographer's typing, but I guess we'll do it.
Oh my god. For 100 MX Mexican pesos, which I believe is $3 Canadian. $5 Canadian. The favorite restaurant of Mexican dictator Porfirio Diaz was French. It still serves escargot and chipotle sauce 150 years later. Nice.
Viva la slop.
Viva la slop. Yeah, there you go.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it. I don't care about the
dinner debates.
The French cuisine discourse. I just do like the fact that Sargon of Akkad has like 1 million views on a tweet saying that like Mexican food is slop and that the chilies are meant to like overpower like the crappy taste.
Oh,
I'm it's
not all Mexican food is slop.
No, it's not. But I just like the fact that Sargon's got that like Anglo snobbery about him.
Have you had real? Well, of course you have. You lived in El Paso. You've had real Mexican food.
Yes, and I've been to Mexico and I've had real Mexican food. It's good stuff. I like Mexican food, but it's definitely not it's not like European fine dining, but it's still good shit anyways.
How close are you to Mexico now? An hour drive.
How close am I to Mexico right now? Not 1 hour. Maybe add like 10, 20.
Yeah, about an hour. Well, I mean, you're in Texas. Come on. You gotta Oh boy.
I have more cows as neighbors than I do Mexicans. And I like it that way.
Yeah. For $5 by John Newsland, War in Africa to establish Wakanda. Might have legs with progs.
Oh man, see that's the way you could do it.
Yeah.
It just get like I know that the actor is dead, but like get like an AI hologram of like Chadwick Boseman or whatever, and be like, Wakanda is real. We need your help.
Did they make a?
You too could be Black Panther. Oh, they did make a sequel, but it was all like female led, so it was just like,
oh my god,
talking in movie theaters. The movie, so not my
women talking. By
that's a real movie.
Yeah, by Sarah Polley.
I thought like I sounded so funny. It's like women talking, and it's just like, who is this for? What is this movie for? Who made this?
If you know anything about Sarah Polley and her like lib activism in Hollywood, well, she got her teeth knocked out by a protesting Mike Harris back in the day here in Ontario.
Are you telling? Okay.
Yeah.
Did she deserve it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then I'm not
Mike
worried.
Harris was based. So no, I don't think she's. Well, I don't know. I don't like Sarah Polley. She's a good actor though, good actress, but I just think she's annoying. Now this is the one I've been waiting for. Speaking of Canada, by Bart the Rad for $2.79 Canadian. FMK, Melanie Joly, the foreign minister, Sophie Trudeau, or Chrystia Freeland. Well, this is pretty easy for me, but you go ahead, Prude.
I have to look up what these people look like.
All right, so I'm gonna go. I will F Melanie Joly. She's pretty. She looks all right. I will marry Sophie Trudeau just so I could grind it in the face of Justin forever. And of course, I have to redact Chrystia Freeland. So,
all right, let's go. What does Sophie Trudeau look like?
She's all right. French, you know.
She's only 48.
Yeah.
55.
She looks pretty good.
I guess we'll just. I might swap it around. We'll screw Soph, marry Melanie because I have a thing for blondes.
Yeah,
and then Chrystia goes. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, I guess we're universally agreed upon in Chrystia Freeland going.
Yeah.
So. I mean, Sophie Trudeau is pretty mid, but she's all right. She's pretty good.
Oh,
Melanie Jolly's just like an airhead, though. So, like, I don't know. She is, like, okay, Melanie Jolly's objectively the best looking out of the three of them. She's, like, a solid, you know, but she's just, like, nothing going on upstairs.
Yeah.
She's not the brightest star in the northern sky. But, as I like to say. But anyways, thank you, Bart the Red. Thank you, our good friend. And by Corp Murph for $5. Nice dream, Geo. Thank you. That was a good dream. Because I got to tell off Jackson Hinkle. And for $5 by our good friend Lou Templar, all U.S. operation names can also be sold as condom brands after the war. Try it, never fails. Can you imagine a condom called Enduring Freedom? Maybe. And this is kind of like this is not an FMK, but I do like these questions, the multiple choice questions. $5 by Stephen Hines. I should stop doing the $5. It's hurting my throat. But you people expect it. By Stephen Hines. Would you rather get drafted to fight in Ukraine, Taiwan, or Niger? This is the easiest answer ever. But you go ahead, Prude.
The easiest answer is tell me when you have the option for Mexico.
Yeah. I would say Niger.
I'd be drafted to fight in Mexico, but I know that's not an option. So for these three, I guess Niger. That would be mine.
That would be, yeah. The way I think is that, well, Taiwan is not worth it.
I'm going to get missile blasted or killed on a carrier before I land.
And Ukraine, you're fighting hardened Russian soldiers that have experience and equipment equal to yours. So would you say the new platform of AK is equal to the American M4?
I don't know enough to give you an answer to that. I'm not.
You're not a gun nut?
I am not. Well, I am. I have plenty of firearms.
But you're not like a gearhead. You're not a gearhead.
No, I don't know enough about that to give you an articulate answer.
If someone in the chat can enlighten me, is the new AK platform is equally performative as the current American Colt M4s? So, oh my God, 99 Iron Duke for $10. Thank you, my good friend. Good stream. In 3 hours, I have a stream on my channel that is a reply to Semiagog to the British Empire. Start the GAE. People here might like it. So go to 99 Iron Duke's channel to watch this. And so thank you, my friend, for the $10. And let me see if someone did put the PayPal. If I have a PayPal notifications.
For most practical applications, says Scribe, you will be dead if you get shot with either.
Oh, also Emerald Oz sent to PayPal. So he says, hello, gents. Thanks for the content. First day of school went well. We are putting on the Tempest for School play. What are both of yours favorite Shakespeare plays and why? I like King Lear. I think
Coriolanus.
Really? Coriolanus? Why?
It's one of my favorites. Because it's a great tragedy. And I think it's one of those it's oration. If you've ever seen it on stage, is probably one of my favorites. I'm a fan of that one, and then I also quite like.
Well, I like Thomas More. The what was it called?
What do you mean?
Oh, was it no? It wasn't Shakespeare. There was another one.
Oh. Well, I like so Coriolanus, and I like The Tempest. Those would be some of mine. Although I also like Much to Do About Nothing, but that's one of those plays I actually really like reading.
Yeah, Sir Thomas More. There you go. That was a play by Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I like Thomas More because I wrote this whole thing when I was in high school about like the metaphor of like I'm I'm a forester and you're on the water. It's sort of like you're like rebellious change. And I'm like a solid forest. I plant my roots in the earth. Like, yeah, I like that one in King Lear. Thomas More and King Lear. I think King Lear, he's a tragic figure,
He is.
Yeah. But I it's been many years since I've read a Shakespeare play. I mean, you could say a cornball answer like Romeo and Juliet, but Juliet, but anyways.
I've actually never seen it on stage. I mean, everyone reads it in like a high school English class, but
yeah, we all had to read it. Anyway, so for $5 by Davis Sards, it's the Hanania.
Yeah, it's the Hanania tweet that I thought that was
true.
spicy.
That's true. Like word art. That's like Mallory.
That's some fantastic shit posting. Like, but it's also a little spicy. Remember, kids, they weren't philo-Semitic. They were different.
Oh boy, Richard Anania, and for $5 by Fishy Frenzy. Weekly movie super chat. How either of you seen the standoff at Sparrow Creek? I think I have seen it. More relevant today. I think it was on Tubi. That's why I saw it. More relevant today ever than it does. Yeah, you search up the movie, Prude.
I can get it on Vudu, Amazon Prime, Tubi. It's free. I'll just go download that right now.
I'll see it on Tubi if I haven't seen it. And for $1.99 by our good friend Raging Mandro, Dirty Scud sounds like the next monkey. Oh God.
I literally had our friend TR Hudson text me saying like that sounds like a good STD name.
Yeah, Dirty Scud.
Dirty Scud.
God. We'll be
better wear protection. You're gonna get a Dirty Scud.
What would be your Prawn Star name? Buck Naked.
I'm not entertaining this. Sorry,
no,
bud.
that was a Seinfeld reference.
No.
Buck Naked. But anyways, what is ARS? What is ARS? ARS.
What are you looking up? Oh.
Currency. Oh, Argentine peso. So
hey, we've got an Argentinian in here. Good thing that we don't have that worry.
Oh, it's 193 Canadian. Wait, what is that? 200 ARS. 200 ARS.
What's the next one, Gio?
Sorry, by Nico, 200 ARS in defensive woe call. If you want to have a strong tribe, you need something better than white. It's one step before global homo. The Spartans had Heracles. The Athenians had Athena. What do you have? Maybe Washington? Yeah.
I mean, we had that as what was called like white Americans. Like again, referring back to like its Immigration Act, like free white men of upstanding character. Like the word white's been around longer than it's used in the like progressive, in the critical theory lens of what white means. But secondly, like you had those heroes. You had heroes like Washington, or most famously, you had it with General Jackson, who was later to be president. You had everyone ranging from Daniel Boone to Lewis and Clark. There was a cavalcade of what constituted American heroes. That changes, of course, in its post-war historiography as we let millions of people in with no connection to this country or its nation's history, and they disappeared. Even Robert E. Lee was famously lauded as one of the greatest Americans by President Eisenhower. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, I mean, yes, America's a place where like an ethnogenesis was really beginning to form. And then we've had so many people come in here that no one has an assimilation. Our government doesn't want it to be assimilated. And the people in charge antithetically hate what used to exist beforehand. Like, I mean, if you want us to be like, for instance, Wokel's defense of, say, Israel or like Jewish people, like, yeah, we had that. The question becomes it's criminalized and hated by liberalizing gatekeepers like Wokel to even address that without being called a neo-Nazi. So, yeah, I mean, like, we had that, and the points I think has been thoroughly addressed and refuted by like people much more well-versed on the racial issue than myself.
Yeah. My My GF said you better stop talking smack about the Irish. So that was funny. No, but yeah, so no, that's 100% right, Prude. I mean, America has a long canon of those heroes and historical figures. I mean, even a book that takes like a critical like lib theory of it, like that book, Gunfighter Nation.
Yeah,
like that. Like I would even like read something like that in a like more of a positive sense of that. So, you know what I mean?
Like you had that with like the heroes of Westerners.
Yeah.
Like we had that with Western movies.
Yeah, the Western. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, even the Western movie became like criticized after. I mean, there was a Canadian documentary on that topic, but yeah, essentially, like America has a long tradition of that, and nowadays it's like verboten. Nowadays, like, why do you think Lincoln after Obama becomes this like huge, deal? Because it's like the liberal retconning of Lincoln. And it's
I meant Westerns in terms of like Western movies, not Westerners, but yeah.
No, that's what I mean. Western films. There was a Canadian documentary criticizing Western films as being like, racist and all that. John Wayne. But yeah, that was a good answer, Prude. So anyways, Sam153 for $10. Thank you, my friend. Usual Sneeding. Cheers. Thank you, our good friend Sam 153 for $10. And for $5 by New Gloff, I hate democracy, I hate the press, I hate the people. George Kenneth. He said that?
Yeah, he did.
Whoa.
He's not a big fan of democracy.
Yeah.
And he hates the press.
Pretty based.
Yeah. I have like a 3-part series on George Kennan's work on my channel. So, I mean, if you want to see his life and works, I've got a 3-part series on him.
Yeah. And oh my God, this is going to be a fun one by Fishy Frenzy for $5. Another super chat. And I saw the footage and there was one word searing through my mind like bullets in fire. And that word was betray us, betray us, betray us. General. So this goes out to you, General. Betray us. Oh, that's amazing. There you go. Salute. Thank you, Fishy Frenzy. I love that. I love mentioning General Betray Us. I love that turn of phrase. Oh boy. Who was the Trump general, Michael Flynn, that they ousted?
Yeah, within like the first couple of weeks.
Yeah. Over nonsense, right? Was it nonsense?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should put this up by Lou Templar.
No, do not. He answers it later in another super chat.
Oh boy, $5 by Lou Templar. You guys made a whole episode without mentioning who took Malaya.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Obamas like that. Or not the kid. I don't give a shit about the kid.
Yeah, I don't care about the kid.
Unless she's
what's this
like
deep lore about Malaya? Was it?
He answers it later in 2 super chats.
Okay. For $5 by Lou Templar, every bloody ad here has Ukrainian women now. Sometimes they're trained to speak an American accent, but I can spot. Oh my God. Well, I mean, Lou Templar is, yeah. But thank you, our good friend Lou Templar. I can't wait for the other. Okay, $2. Okay, thank you for $2. Yeah, I'm not going to read that for YouTube purposes. And for $20 by Byzantium Archon, longtime patron, longtime friend, from all the way back in the Follow the Rules days, by Byzantium Archon, obligatory Geo super chat. Thank you so much, my friend, for $20. Oh my God. I'm skipping over the Lou Templar super chat, but thank you so much. Wow. And for $2 by Brent Taylor, XXX was one of the greatest action movies ever. Was that the one with Ice Cube? Oh, it was Vin Diesel, but was Ice Cube in that one too?
I don't remember. I haven't seen it in like
I forget. I saw
years.
it a long time ago. Yeah. And for $2 by a Griff, every American Nations by Colin Woodward.
No, but you are not the first person to tell me to read that. Because I was told that that's like the thing that you read after Albion Seed. But American Nations is the case for 11 rival regional cultures of America. And it also talks a little bit about like the Canadian First Nations thing. But no, I have not read it, although I have ordered it. It's sitting next to my copy of Albion's Seed. We'll one day get to, but I've been told that it's sort of like the book you read after it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and to answer Katie J's question, it was called The Real Engine, the documentary. But Real was in movie Reel, REEL. It was actually a good documentary, but of course it was like, Westerns are racist, and John Wayne was racist, and, all that stuff. It was a good documentary, though, I gotta admit. Yeah. But, wow. Oh man, we've been going on for a while, and there's
2 episodes where it's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah, and there's other streams. I'll Be on Sneed. I'll Be on Seed was very foundational to America, was it not? The American.
I mean, like he's got the book about just sort of like a regional, the Cavaliers and whatnot. Like I think it is vital. I'm inclined to buy the thesis to it because I mean, even the regions of England and Scotland are vastly different than what we are here, So.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to read it eventually and get into it. Clossington's talked about it more than I have, and he's got a good essay on it. But I for one will get to it in due time. I've got a few books first to get to.
Yeah, me too. I have to finish my book and then I'll go back to making. I have a lot of art commissions, so.
Yeah, Angriff tells me that those 2 books go in order that way. Okay, cool. So I'll read I'll Be on Seed first and then American Nations. I will make that my winter effort. Those will be the books that I read.
Nice. So yeah, what do you have coming up, Prude?
Well, I just had Patron Book Club. We discussed Pat Buchanan's Where the Right Went Wrong, published in 2004. Oh boy. Well,
wow.
Let's go to the Berlin one first, but then we'll get into what I'm
Berlin
doing.
For $10. Should I put this up on the screen or?
How can you prefer dying to a Canadian by a Niger necklace than being deleted in a Taiwanese city eating soup? Also, Sophie would be wild, wild in bed after decades living with a homosexual.
Whoa! Exactly.
Well, I don't know. It depends on whether or not I get caught and I am burned alive with a tire burning around my neck. But I have a feeling
just going
that
purely by who you could survive. You could probably survive
soldier. I can probably, it's like the Bush Wars who put their weapons like, they don't know what front sights really are. I feel like I'd have a stronger time winning or surviving against that than I do Taiwanese, trained Russians or trained Taiwanese missile or Chinese missiles on my position.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's face it, the Taiwanese are probably going to be trained to NATO standards by that time. So.
Yeah. So, anyways, as for me, no, I have Patron Book Club. I will have an essay out on Substack.
You'd be fighting the Chinese though in Taiwan.
Even better. Even better.
Anyways, so yeah, Substack. What do you got?
Yeah, so Substack out tomorrow. I've got Patron Book Club, which is available on Substack, Subscribe Store, and YouTube channel memberships. As low as $2 a month, you get access to a monthly book club. This month, we are going to be reading The Myth of Religious Violence by William T. Kavanaugh, published in 2009. Well worth your time. I am scheduling a stream with Mr. Bagby to sort of discuss the historiography of William Appleman Williams' 2 books, Empires, A Way of Life, and The Tragedy of American Diplomacy. I'll be on live with the Old Glory Club in about 2 hours covering the news. And then this weekend on Saturday, or actually potentially tomorrow, I'll have a Geopol news roundup on things. So I will be live tomorrow as well. So plenty of good stuff to come in mind. Your ongoing financial support is always greatly appreciated, and we'll have the digital Archipelago live next week as well. But there's also going to be some writing projects long down the line. There'll be one hopefully out next week, and then pending on some edits whenever I get them back, I will be published in the Mars Review of Books, reviewing Sohrab Ahmari's Tyranny, Inc.
Oh God.
They liked my review, so I'm happy.
One. Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Neither can I.
I gotta write for the Mars Review of Books. I should review something small. I wanted to review the speaking of Giorgiani on Break the Rules. I wanted to review Hadayat's The Blind Owl, as like the first form of like incel literature for Apocalypse Confidential, but I could probably do something with Marty's review of books. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Next week I'll probably come out with a standalone video again. I think I'll alternate because I want to interview certain people, and Bagby is certainly on my list. I just have to find a good topic. But I was thinking like certain people that there's too much to cover. Like for example, I wanted to interview a Athenian stranger. I could just like air my criticisms of certain ideas, but you know, yeah. There you go. So, and yeah, so Bengal in the chat said Tyler Hamilton also reviewed The Myth of Religious Violence. So maybe you might want to, you know, I always like to see friends that review stuff just so I don't like overlap, you know. Like I watched your interview with Marty Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's sufficiently different, but you know.
Yeah, Sorab is so radical when it comes to racists. I wonder why. I wonder why too. Almost as if he's like an Iranian immigrant, Roman Catholic convert, works with Romuald and Deneen, and his whole thesis is, please, FDR, you know, New Deal me harder.
New Deal me harder, Daddy.
New Deal me harder, Daddy. More workers programs, please. Like Elizabeth Warren didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
More money for them programs.
Oh my god!
I need the black Patrick Casey restoring order meme. I need Blatrick Casey to tell me how to get more money for them programs.
Yeah, with the do-rag. Blatrick Casey. Yeah. Anyways, this has been great. We'll see you next week on Prude's channel. Maybe will we pick up the Garrows article, or will we do something else?
We'll do something else.
All right, because that Garrows article I actually wrote about. I'm gonna cite it in my book on my one chapter on Trumpism. So Gio, when we sport a do-rag, I kind of have one, but like when I help my old man with concrete, it's like a do-rag, but I end up looking like a Russian babushka in it. So yeah. Anyways, thank you all. This has been great stream, great viewership that's been consistent. We love you all. The chat is also a main character. God bless. Goodbye. Sweet.
Gents.